Okay, there we go. All right. As I was saying, I have to be extra special careful today because I got an open glass because I forgot to put my bottle in the freezer to make it really cold, which is how I like it. I mean, likes it cold. All right. What's going on today? Thought there was a bear attack in the area yesterday. It turned out not to be. It turned out to be somebody maybe hallucinating, having some sort of mental health crisis. Yeah, I feel bad for them, but it was fun while it lasted. A bear? I'm on a Facebook group that is like monitors the local um 911 calls and that, like the old fashioned police scanner things. If you know, you know. So they're like, possible bear attack. Like, did you say bear? They're like, well, I saw a bear scat in in the area, and I saw a bear like 2 months ago in the area. I mean, it's not out of the question at all. Um, and then somebody put the map where the incident was, and they're like, would a bear really be here? And we're like, yes. It's like the prime. It was like a neighborhood, but like a lot of empty land next to it. They're like, yes, that's a prime area for a bear to be. Guess I don't have to worry about anybody but Marianne. She do have the bears. I have the proof. She sends me a bear picture from her driveway every once in a while. It's like, this is my driveway last night. Like, there's 3 bears on there, lady. She had a cougar on her trail cam once too. Um, she should start a YouTube channel. Bears in the woods. Anyway, how are y'all doing? I've slept really well the last 2 nights, so I'm doing pretty well. Maybe you can tell. Um, my scheme for trying to do these reality TV segments is out of control. Can't seem to get them done. But I am. I got one done for you. I just haven't done the next part of that I'm supposed to have done already. Started it, haven't finished it. So anyway, we're going to start with Welcome to Plathville. Season 8's episode 2, Practice What You Preach. I don't know who comes up with their episode titles, but they are very snarky. They are very snarky. All right, so we open to find a really weird. Actually, is this episode 2? This might be episode 1. Now I'm confused. Now I'm confused. It says episode 2, but I swear it was episode 1. What happened to 1? Um, Let me check something real quick. No, no, this is episode 1. I don't know why I had episode 2 up there. That's silly of me. So silly of me. That's what I thought. Okay. I don't know why it said 2. I'm an idiot. Those of you who know and love me know that. And love me anyway. All right. Welcome to Plathville, Season 8, Episode 1, Practice What You Preach. So we open to find really weird looking Micah. He has long hair and a beard. Very un-Micah like. He kind of looks like a blonde caveman. It's not a bad look. I'm not partial to beards and long hair. I don't like facial hair at all on men. So this is a really hard era for me with all the beards. Um, but he doesn't look bad. He is very cute though. He's a very cute boy. I say boy because, I have children older than him, and I could have children 10 years, easily 10 years older than that. So, um, anyway, and he's saying how they grew up and now things have changed. And cut to Ethan, and he just says, I don't like change in his Ethan way. Um, then we cut to Ethan and Olivia previously, and her saying he doesn't like how their values no longer align because she did what I did. I left home after being raised very, very fundamentalist Christian. Not as bad as them, but bad enough. Um, she no longer see she did cut and ran and like learned learned and improved. Um, she's saying that she no longer sees them together in the future. And then we go to the parents telling the littles about that they're getting divorced. And then they just do a montage of all the relationships and the wedding drama from last season. Kim has moved back to the farm. I'm concerned with how much weight Kim has put on. It's kind of shocking. I'm not body shaming. I have no place to, but I'm hoping that nothing serious, uh, is seriously wrong health wise, because rapid weight gain like that can be a sign of very serious problems. So I'm not saying she's doing anything wrong. I'm just concerned. She's sitting on the couch playing with the kittens and maybe Mercy, and the younger girls are making dinner. So she's not changed at all. She's still having the kids weighing on her hand and foot. Um, and she's at they're back in the farmhouse. Did I have that? Yeah, she said that she didn't want to be there during the divorce because she was afraid of running into um Barry. But now she's back in the farmhouse and she's moved Ken in with her. And she says the kids are going back and forth between her and Barry's house every other week or so. And he brought his jukebox with him with the 1980s soundtrack, which never would have flown before. I don't get inconsistency. I like to be a consistent person. Not that I won't change my mind, but there has to be a reason for it. And like, if you tell your kids one thing their whole lives, and then you completely change, that's a problem for me. Like, what are they supposed to believe at that point? And I didn't have any of that written down. Next, we go to Zach and Lydia's apartment. He's got contacts. I kind of like him better in glasses, personally. I don't think he's sweet, and I like him, but I don't think he's physically, facial wise, attractive. That's just a personal issue. That's me. That's just me. Um, he may grow on me. I'm a Videmi girl, so it takes a while sometimes. Um, uh, so they're living in, I think it's at Tallahassee, so a little bit away from Carroll, Georgia. Neither of them have. They've moved in together. They've been living together for 8 months. Both of them say neither of them have quirks that bother the other, so that's good. They still seem happy with each other and seem to have a good a good sex life, and they can talk about it without being gross. Which kudos to them because that's rare. Look, the bevometric pressure is so high today. Do you know what the bevometric pressure is? Bevometric pressure is how high you can lift the coaster with the glass before it falls off. Yes, we made that sniglet up ourselves. Sniglets, look them up, they're fun. Um, okay. They say they decided to wait at least a year from the wedding to try and get pregnant. Not quite long enough to me. I think they need at least a couple years because they haven't even known each other that long. They need to know each other at least 5 years before they really start doing that. But that's just me, my opinion. All of my kids have at least known, if not dated, at least 5 years before they got married. And I knew my husband 5 years before we got married. It takes a long time to like really, really, really get to know each person when you're not living together, which they wouldn't have been. But they seem happy and it's working for them, so good for them. I'm happy for them. um, and also they're thinking and planning instead of just letting it happen, like some other people we know, Duggars. They have called for a family meeting. Back on the farm, Ethan has moved back from Minnesota again, and he's still not divorced. He says Olivia is still trying to hold him up and make his life hell. Like, honey, you do that all on your own. According to Olivia, she has signed all the paperwork at least once, and Ethan didn't sign it correctly, so it didn't go through. He thinks Olivia doesn't want him to move on with anyone else. Talk about projection. This guy needs a cinema with all this projection. They are divorced now, by the way. Olivia had a TikTok with her divorce papers in her hand. He and Tegan broke up. Yay, Tegan. He says Tegan was tired of the long distance relationship and he kept telling her he was going to move to Wisconsin and then he never did. And then he said, and you can only tell someone so many times, I'm going to do this, and then you don't, and it just doesn't mean anything. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding, Ethan. You're just not figuring this out. Um, so he lied to her and let her on, essentially. I don't know what he expected to happen. He said that his divorce or lack thereof also affected them. He says he's had an attorney for over a year and Olivia has ignored them and said she's out of the country and when she comes back she doesn't do anything and claims the attorney has to start over from the beginning. I don't think that's how that works, honey. All he's got to do is use the same paper and hand it to her. And he might have to do that more than once. Especially when you don't sign it correctly. And he says nothing ever happens because you didn't sign it correctly. I would like to know who Ethan's attorney is so I can never hire him because he sounds incompetent. He says he and Tegan connected on various levels and they play a montage of photos while he looks. And in one of them, he has an obviously huge booger in his nose. So gross. Ugh. Ugh. He is having a hard time moving on. From Tegan or from Olivia? He says he feels there's unfinished business with Tegan. Dude, you had one job and you couldn't even do that. All you had to do was move to Wisconsin. That's it. That's all you had to do, and you couldn't even do that for her. Ethan arrives on the farm. He says he now has his own place in Florida. He's met a new girl. They're keeping things private, and he's chasing a peaceful life. Good for him. Isaac is with Kaylin, and she drops him off. Isaac is Kayla is Isaac's longtime girlfriend. He's only 20. Um, Mariah also arrives, and she says she's doing well in Montana. She's wearing a classic Rachel wig because she's still dealing with her alopecia. The boys seem to think it suits her. She says she's got like 4 wigs that she's working with now, and she plans on getting a whole collection of them. And I mean, good. She should be doing that. She can't grow her own hair because of the stress. I mean, obviously she can because she has, but I think she's going to have to be in Montana a long time with that peaceful Montana life before, she really recovers if that even ever happens. Um, Ethan is so self-absorbed that he says he can't even focus on the meeting with Zach and Lydia because he's just worried about him and Tigran. Idiot. In a Zach and Lydia talking head, she brings up Ethan asking if he was gay, and I still think that's projection also. Kim says she's dreading the meeting because she thinks they're coming expecting an apology. Well, why shouldn't they expect an apology? Did you see how people were acting around before and after their wedding, before and around their wedding, and after? Because there was an altercation between the two brothers at the reception. It's ridiculous. Yes, they should have apologies from all of y'all, except for maybe Barry, who was the only one acting not like a fool. She says she has mixed feelings because she's sorry about some things that happened, but she's not sorry that they cared. Cannot with this woman, I swear. I think it's a funny way of showing you care. It looked more like controlling, manipulative, and judgy than sincere concern. And oh my goodness, these little girls have grown. It's only been 8 months. I guess it's a long time for little kids. They're not little girls anymore. They look great. They look great. I'm proud of them. But they're beautiful young women now, even though they're still kids. Lydia said that some of the things uh, that were said made her feel like her family doesn't even know her, and that makes her sad. She says she's always felt overlooked and second thoughted, even on her wedding day. And she says maybe that's her because she's a middle child. No, that's because your family treats you horribly and always has. But you are also kind of weird as a kid with your prayer closet and your bad singing. Um, I think that she was so well behaved also, and that ties into her not getting attention because negative attention is also a thing. And they gave a lot of negative attention to her siblings, but no positive attention to her at all. um, she was the only child they didn't have to worry about. She's almost a glass child. She may be a glass child. She says her mom accused Zach of controlling the wedding. Lydia gives the example of her mom saying that she wanted hunter green, and Lydia said that was not a color she would ever think of. And they show a clip of Lydia saying blue was always her and Zach's favorite color, and that's why they picked it. Lydia says it's like know your daughter before you make accusations like that. We cut to Barry being king of the world on a boat. And then Kim showing up and asking what he's doing because the boat's in the in the field. He says he's just giving himself a self tour because he didn't get a tour like everyone else did. Kim says Barry just randomly shows up on the farm, but they're generally on good terms, but she'd prefer he call first rather than just show up at her house. I can appreciate that. That measure pressure. I can appreciate that. Like, don't show up at your ex's house. That's silly. It's not your home anymore. You shouldn't be there without an invitation. um, Barry says he's hurt a lot and realizes how hurt Lydia was, and he's trying to be her validation. Which, I mean, that makes him a good dad. Um, Zach and Lydia show up, and I still think side hugs are weird. None of the girls give Zach anything more than a side hug. Ken is not attending the meeting. He says he's heard both sides and he'd rather avoid the drama. Smart man. He may be the smartest man here, the smartest person in this whole group. Unless Zach is, I'm not sure. So he's staying in the house, looking through the window. They're doing. Barry says it's weird that Ken now lives in what was his house and that weird is the new norm. And he's used to weird. Fam is all greeting each other outside the house, and Micah tells Ethan to hug your brother-in-law, which I mean, good move, Ethan. That was the proper thing to do. Kudos for that. And Ethan hugs Lydia and Zach, so that's good too. He's doing the right thing. So they're gonna have the meeting outside on the patio. Kim's in a talking head. She thinks they're wanting apologies, and she doesn't know if she's going to apologize. I don't know what's wrong with her. She's most concerned about Ethan and his temper. And I mean, if he starts throwing patio chairs around, I'd be worried about that too. Lydia acknowledges that the marriage happened quickly and apologized if that pressured anyone. I don't know why these people think they're all pressured and stuff. Like, you can either choose to get to know the person that's going to be in your life or not. That's up to you. But you can't really complain if you don't try. And they were not trying, they were being jerks. Um, uh, she says some people got to know Jack and some people just judged. And she says she knows that they care and she wishes they could show that to Zach. Zach says if anyone has concerns or questions, he's open to conversations. He's more hurt for Lydia than himself. He says, I don't care what they do to me. But Lydia's really not in a good way about it. Um, Micah, Lydia starts crying and says that the night before their wedding was supposed to be joyful as her last night as a plath, and instead it was the hardest night of her life, which is heartbreaking because, yeah, she should have been happy that night. She should have been over the moon that night. And instead, most of her family were acting like complete a-holes. Micah says he felt awful afterward and they went about it expressing their concern the wrong way and they should have done better and he should have been there for her more. Lydia mentions that he still danced with her and he says it meant a lot. He acknowledges that it had to be hard for Lydia, but especially hard for Zach. And he now says that Zach's a great guy and he and Lydia seem to be a good fit for each other. Zach said his behavior was influenced by the pressure with Isaac, sorry, not Zach, or not Micah. Isaac says his behavior was influenced by the pressure he was feeling. Uh, I mean, these people are ridiculous. You're 19 years old. You don't have any pressure about your sister getting married. Give me a break. He says he was judging by past relationships that the siblings have. You mean the ones that the siblings themselves have ruined? Those, those ones? He does apologize, but insists that his intentions were good. Kim says she doesn't think any have any concerns now. Yeah, 8 months later, you don't have any concerns, of course, because they didn't get divorced after 2 months. And she sees Zach as part of the family. She does not apologize. Barry says he sees more healing for Micah and Isaac than with Kim. No kidding. Have you met Kim, dude? He thinks Lydia and Kim need to talk, and I agree. Lydia and Kim need to sit down and hash some stuff out. Um, he says a lot of the issues probably came from the divorce. Lydia was not happy about the divorce, if you remember. Mercy wasn't either, I don't think. Ethan says the time has passed and he accepts both of them as part of the family. Like Lydia's never been part of the family. And he says, I'm sorry if anything I did hurt you. And he acknowledges that it did and apologizes. But he's still going on about the sexual aspect of all of it. And what the heck is wrong with him? Never mind, he's a homophobe a-hole and through. And oh shoot, I will add evidence in the description. Um, it's bad. Warning, it's awful. He is an awful person. If you care about any kind of people, he's awful. It's from Olivia's TikTok. I will post it. It's a recording of him. Zach accepts all the apologies and forgives him because Zach is a real person who knows how to act in society. Lydia thanks Barry for all of his support, and Kim takes that as a jab against her. Kim, not everything is about you. She thinks Barry just rubber stamped everything without asking questions. And how would she know that? She wasn't around. And it looked like to me like Barry was spending a significant amount of time with Zach and Lydia before the wedding. Barry says he was getting to know Zach and could tell he was a good person, and says he wishes that he could have exported that. I don't think you can export anything to people who do not want to listen, and those people were not in the space to listen to him at all. Kim feels that Barry is gloating, and she doesn't get any credit for really caring about Lydia, who Lydia spends the rest of her life with. Here's the thing: as a parent of adult children, you can express your feelings in a caring, concerned, calm way, privately, not gossip with the other kids about it. And then you back off because your kids are going to make their own decisions. And at that point, you support them regardless of whether you approve or not. Because you might have to support them later on too if they make the bad decision. But they do need to make their own decisions on stuff. You can say, you might want to consider this, but you can't make the decision for them. That is for them to do. Zach says that he's appreciative that Barry was trusting from the beginning, and he doesn't see that from Kim, and he's seen too many tears from Olivia to think that everything's okay on that front. And I agree with him. And that is the end of the episode. So we will see what happens next time. Right now, I'm watching another episode of Seven Little Johnsons for you. We get to go to the fair. Isn't that fun? And then I'll make the notes on that. And then maybe Tuesday I'll have more. If I don't have more of that, I have a sister wives. That barometric pressure is just so high. So high. All right. Goodbye. All right. Next, we have Murder by Words, and it is entitled History Lessons. Let's see what our history lesson is today. Elon Musk says if one is to use the term First Nations or Indigenous people or Native Americans in the Americans and Antipodes, I'm not sure what that is, then in fairness, it should also apply to English, French, Spanish, and other such peoples in Europe. No. Bertie Sam says, Elon, this is a very public way to make it abundantly clear that you've suddenly studied exactly zero world history at all. Oh, he's a. I don't know Antipodes. Antipodes? I have to learn it. I'm sorry. I have to do it so that you know. I know. Antipodes. Okay. Oh, it's Australia and New Zealand. The Antipodes are Australia and New Zealand. No wonder I didn't know that. I'm American. I don't have to know that. I'm kidding. I hope you know that. Mundane stretch. Did he just learn the word Antipodes? I feel like he has used it multiple times recently. I can't tell if he's actually using it correctly. Gordon Bennett says that definitely what he's doing. Antipodes nuts. Biological train wreck. Somebody answers a deleted comment. This prolific carrot says to expand upon your second paragraph. Before the age of exploration, the idea of the Antipodes was referred to unreached terrestrial space. Some scholars hypothesize the existence of Terra Australis incognita, or hidden unknown southern land, as a balance to the known continents of the north. A major medieval challenge was reconciling the existence of un, possibly inhabited, unevangelized lands with theological doctrines. Because of this, the Antipodes were seen as unknown and potentially unreal geographic spaces, but they weren't unthought. I don't know what the deleted comment said. Oh, Pointy Pointy says we're held hostage by morons and rapists. That ain't true. I don't know what is. Another deleted comment. Horn Putrid says it seems like the lack of consent is a common theme here. Uh, Mass gadiations. um, a Rebecca Shaw quote that says, I knew one day I'd have to watch powerful men burn the world down. I just didn't expect them to be such losers. And that is true. um, we have another Arches National Park review, 1-star review. This is from Alan. If you have any 1-star reviews of anything, send them. 1-star review. Send them to me. I'd like them. We'll put it on here. It's from Alan in California, and it's entitled Bad Planning on My Part. So this is not a review on the park, but my idiotic failure to plan experience. At least he takes responsibility for something, unlike these other idiots. On with the drama. We decided to leave early from Vegas, 5 a.m. I drive to Arches National Park. We are going to down 3 to 4 hours at the park and drive back. I think that they're going to spend 3 to 4 hours at the park and then drive back. We did take the essentials in case we had to spend the night. The drive there was gorgeous with all different rock formations, especially on Highway 70. It was an awakening 6.5 hour drive going through Mesquite, St. George, Cedar City, and others. We drove through a little rain and some snow, but a lot of perfect weather too. This was in October. Realized that there's 1 hour time change south of St. George, but that was not a problem. We should still arrive about 1 p.m. with plenty to see the sights of the park. We got to the park at 1:15 and we got there and the park was closed because it was full. I failed to anticipate. They also had a sign to return in 3 to 5 hours. No way I was going to hang around Moab for 3 to 5 hours. Maybe I should have, but I didn't. Upset at my failure to plan and not wanting to pay premium hotel prices, we drove back to Vegas. So when planning your trip to Arches, consider the possibility of the park being closed because of capacity limits. If you plan on getting there at 1 p.m. or so, I shall return in 6 months and I will be spending at least one night at a hotel there. This man, I don't know why he put this as a 1-star review. It was a 1-star review of himself, I think. But yeah, you have to plan things. For the past several years, and this was in 2021, so at least 5 years, and people are still complaining about the parks being full and closed when they're full. We don't want to overfill them. It's bad enough that we're ruining them as it is. Next is from What Should I Do? And it is entitled Husband's Work is Blowing Up His Phone at 2 in the morning. His job includes on-call nights, and he is currently not on call. The man is exhausted. We have a sick toddler. He has 2 demanding jobs, and he isn't getting paid extra for answering. He has already given 6 free hours before they finally let him sleep at 1 a.m. He's only been asleep for an hour. Apparently something is happening because several people are calling, and his computer alerts / texts are blowing up. He is a subject matter expert on whatever he does at work. It's computer stuffy stuff, computery stuff. I love him to death, hand on my heart. I listen to what he says, but he does so many things. My head spins figuring it out. Okay. I don't understand that, but because I know what my husband does for work. I have a brother-in-law who could never tell us what he did for work. I know what he did for work, but it's not that hard to describe, but he couldn't tell us. I don't know if that's because he didn't know what he did or didn't think we would understand. That's all. Cup now. Glass cup. What is it? Okay. Oh, I think this diet won't be sticky. Um, they have had to pull had they had to have teeth pulled to pay him anywhere close to what he's worth. They really don't want to pay him enough to have access to him like this, but there are a lot of layoffs in the industry, and he is the breadwinner for the family. He could still get a job elsewhere if he's that good. He can get a job anywhere. I tried gently shaking him. I tried calling his name. I tried making noise. His phone is blowing up next to his face. He's normally a light sleeper, but he obviously desperately needs the sleep. Yeah, he needs some sleep if he's not waking up. Should I try? Should I keep trying or should I let the man sleep and deal with this in the morning? Let him sleep. I'm terrified something is going down that he would want to be there for. But at the same time, it's been nights without sleep for other reasons outside of job, and God does he need this? I'm leaning towards letting the world burn and letting my man sleep. They have been threatening AI, so I might as well let them feel his worth and not kill him slowly in the long run. But at the same time, he might be the only one that can fix whatever's happening, and there might be people in desperate need of him. They can't be that desperate at 2 a.m. in the morning, unless something's on fire or there's blood. They should be leaving him alone. Edit, I appreciate everyone. I'm going to sleep and will respond later. I'm letting the man sleep. I think 6 free hours of work is enough for today after an 8-hour workday. He's worked for them for 14 hours already, only paid for 8. He works from home and has a new job lined up anyway. Maybe they should see the value in not having huge layoffs, not paying industry standard, and putting money towards AI through experiences like this. My man needs to live a long life. Update. They didn't need him. It was not an emergency. Good. I'm glad you let him sleep then. Dirt Girl is the top rated comment, and she says, when I was on call, I turned my ringer off at the times I wasn't. If he isn't answering when not on call, people will stop calling. The fact that he's answering, he's teaching them to continue to call at all hours because it works. And Fix Structure says, yes, he needs to do this. Outdoor Stuff answers, yep, um, they aren't even aware or contextualize that you have to essentially train them when you are and aren't working. I used to pick up Saturdays with some salespeople that has zero awareness of when they started doing every weekend. And then they stopped. Then I stopped answering. A month later, they stopped completely. Second top rated comment is from the Dragon Jedi. If he's not on call, let him sleep. A purple blueberry says companies love burning out their best people and don't let him be the martyr tonight. Yes, exactly. Third top rated comment is from a deleted poster. You get you let a corporation work someone to death, and they will. No one from work will give a wing if your partner gets heart disease from stress. So wing them. Let it burn, whatever it is. If on-call conditions remain that bad, get another job. I know it's not that easy in the current environment, but start looking while you are still employed by these clowns. Main Marwa, Marwia, Marua, something like that. Answers, he could also have a car crash from being from driving too all tired. And Bernsey says, happened to me. I almost died. Next, we have malicious compliance and is entitled Micromanagement Isn't Cheap. I'm an IT consultant. Customers pay my employer for me or my colleagues to work on their IT system. It's not cheap, around $1,500 a day, but we're good at what we do. We bill by the day, which should technically be an 8-hour shift dedicated to a single customer, though in reality, things are kind of fluid. I might need to email or have a quick meeting with another customer during the day and might make up that time elsewhere. I mean, that makes sense. That's how things should be. All my customers understand this and they trust me to get their work done, not rip them off. In 8 years, I've never had a complaint. I was midway through an 18-month project with a long-term client. We billed them 2 days a week, which pretty much lined up with the work I was doing for them. The project was progressing nicely and everyone was happy. Then they hired a new project manager. And of course, the new guy has to come in and stomp all over everything without learning anything every time. Okay, maybe not every time, but it's rare that you don't get somebody that you get somebody that's an actual human being. From the get-go, he was a nightmare. Clearly wanted to throw his authority around and show off for his new bosses. He wanted to micromanage all my work, putting in twice daily meetings, constant emails, and the works. After a couple of weeks, he decided they weren't getting their money's worth and demanded a detailed breakdown of exactly how my time was being used. Fine by me. I started tracking every single minute, meetings he scheduled, emails he sent, time spent responding, time spent logging all of this. The bill nearly doubled. The director, who I had a good relationship with, called me direct me to ask me why costs suddenly spiked. I explained I was just following the new project manager's request for detailed time tracking and regular updates. About 30 minutes later, we got an email saying we could go back to the previous arrangement and that the new guy had been reallocated to another project. A few weeks later, I noticed his account had been disabled. Specific pool says this one thing that worked in government um, project management actually gets right. You don't say anything to a contractor that could be even remotely considered a change. You say, "Hi, great work. How's your kids' baseball season?" Maybe once in a while, you say something like, "Can you remind me if you've completed blank?" Uh, Alcohol, spelled with HALL at the end. Our department has a contract with one company that has anything remotely asking for a change being called an upgrade. Problem is, some of this isn't an upgrade so much as a fix of something they broke. Oh boy, do I know that one. We paid you a little extra to make the button a little bigger. Now the link doesn't work at all. Then they try to charge to fix the link. Yeah. Like, no, you broke this. All you had to do is change this one little thing, and now none of it works. I have experienced this live and in person. It is so frustrating. And it's simple stuff. It's not even that hard. Some of it is so simple. Um, can't because the link's in the way. No, I can't get it closer. Can I get it closer? Trying to move my screen. I rearranged the screens a little bit. Now it seems like it's too far away. Maybe I should move. Maybe I should do this. Should I do that? Is that better? I'm a little more in the middle, aren't I? Some managers just don't understand consultants. One memorable day, I'd finished. This is from Cotswold, by the way. Um, I'd finished painting a server rationalization, planning a server rationalization, and checked in with the section lead if he had anything urgent before I went to the next item on my list. He asked me to sort through the junk cupboard, and there was a box of rat's nest cables, and he wanted me to untangle them all to see if they were reusable. I tried to point out that it was stupid use of my very expensive time, but he was adamant. So I popped on a podcast and made $700 to proudly recover two network patch cables worth about $5. Everything else was linked to old standards we didn't use. There was even a couple of parallel cables. OP answers, it's insane, isn't it? Another one of mine really needed an in-person meeting rather than over Teams. So instead of 2 hours, they had to pay for 6 hours travel, overnight accommodation, and a 2 hour meeting, which could have been an email, to be honest. It's always fun to waste the company's money. Uh, Shane says it seems a little insane that tracking would double the bill. Feels like you're not charging enough. And he laughs. Uh, OP says it was more him constantly putting in catch-up meetings and sending giant AI generated emails asking for updates on things. Though to be fair, we probably weren't billing them enough to start with. They're a good customer and we have a pretty good relationship usually. DNA Danabsha says I had a similar relationship with one of my customers as manager. I split the hours across the client's projects, prorated how much work my team worked on that project. If the team spent 50% of their time on project A, 25 on B, and 25 on C, that was how I'd split my billing. It was easy. The client had a new project manager who wanted hour projections to the minute and started calling daily forecasting meetings, which caused me to bill those hours directly instead of half hour a week to the project. I started billing him 5 hours per week for the meetings, plus the half hour a week for the project I was working on. Somehow, the daily reminder that this was a waste of effort didn't sink in until management audited his project 1 month later. I may have had a small part in kicking off the audit when I mentioned that this project to the VP of IT during lunch. Next, we have Evil Buildings, Shanghai. I guess it's the Shanghai version. Can any building be evil if it has enough clouds and is tall enough? It does look kind of evil. I'll admit that. This one I approve. Some girlie says all the buildings in Shanghai are is so beautiful. Um, Kraken Kuzdra is the second top rate comment. Definitely getting Ghostbusters vibe from this. Uh, NS Giad says, "Are you the key master?" And I always answer, "Yes, I am." 'Cause I was. Game Patrol says, "Final mission of the game." Next, we have AITAH. AITAH. My girlfriend is angry that I called my friend by his real name. Everyone knows my ex-boyfriend, 33 male, calls him either JT or by his last name. I, 29 male, was never among those people. He introduced himself to me by his first name, Jude, and that's what I've always called him. 2 years ago, he broke up. He and I broke up due to him getting a promotion that included a ton of traveling. I love him, and I definitely did not want him turning down an opportunity like that for me. We tried long distance; it just wasn't sustainable for us. I'm a homebody through and through, and I like having my person at home with me. And that's a perfectly reasonable reason to amicably split. Somebody's a homebody, somebody has to travel a lot, so maybe not even his choice. Um, but if you can't handle it, that you can't handle it. That's just life. Life doesn't always work out the way you want it to all the time. Sometimes things happen that you really don't like. I've been dating my current girlfriend, 29 female, for about 8 months now. Jude has recently transferred positions within his company again and is back in our city for the majority of the time. We didn't end on bad terms at all, so we're still friends. My girlfriend always said she was fine with that. After a group outing with him, my girlfriend and some other friends, she asked me why I called him something different than everyone else. This has since turned into a multi day argument where she claims that calling him by his first name when no one else has is too intimate. Calling somebody by their name is too intimate? Seriously? She said it's a relationship thing and I need to start treating him like a friend. I said she's being ridiculous and unbelievably insecure. It's his name and not a term of endearment. AITAH. Okay, I have a friend. I know him by one name and one nickname that his close friends called him back when we were in school, high school, college. He does not go by either of those names anymore, but I will still call him that because that's how I know him. And no, we did not have a romantic relationship. He's gay. Um, but I will call him by the name, say Jimmy or Jay. Like everybody called him Jimmy, and we called him Jay, and he goes by James now. That kind of thing. It's not. I changed his name. He knows who he is. And I don't expect anybody else to call him Jimmy or Jay, but I also don't expect him to have to call him James all the time. I mean, I do occasionally, especially when I'm being sarcastic. Okay, James. That kind of thing. But yeah, no. It's a long-term old friend. I get to call him something different. Just like your family gets to call you by your kid nickname for the rest of your life if they want to. Unless you have a super serious problem with it, which most people don't. Your name's Carolyn and they called you Carrie their whole life and now you want to go by Carolyn. That's fine. They're going to call you Carrie unless you want them to unless you seriously want them to stop. And if you don't care about your family calling you Carrie, that's fine. They can still call you Carrie. It's a privilege that certain people get. um, this time says you broke up with him because he had travel bunch, no other reason, and now he doesn't have to travel like that anymore. I doubt she's upset about the name. She's probably feeling insecure, and considering the situation, I can understand why she would feel that way. That's fine. Then she needs to express that instead of whining about the name he's calling his friend. um, Designated throwaway answers. Look at OP's comments. He called JT his partner before editing it and pretending he didn't, and implied that he doesn't want to use JT because that would be awkward in bed. OP 100% calls him Jude because no one else does, and that's their thing. And River Song points out that OP also used the present tense when talking about his feelings for Jude. He's still not the a-hole. What if Jude doesn't want? What if JT isn't into the relationship? They're saying he should break up with the girlfriend. Well, if JT isn't interested in a relationship and just wants to be friends now. Uh, Telenar is the second top rated comment, and they say, "I love him." Present tense. You can see why your girlfriend is worried. This isn't about what you call him, but she needs to articulate that out loud. Secret Owl says, "Term current girlfriend doesn't imply permanence either." Now they're calling him an a-hole. Just dump her and get back with the other one that don't play games. It's clearly it isn't working for anyone. I don't know. I don't think he's the a-hole either way. I mean, Rulanik says, "I feel like you buried the lead. I love him. If that's not a typo, this is the problem." They're not wrong. I mean, he probably needs to break up with the girlfriend, but she's gonna be mad anyway. I mean, she's gonna be mad no matter what you do, so you might as well break up with her and get back with JT if that's what you want to do. It's a sticky situation. I get it. JT may not have been back long enough for him to realize that's what he needs to do. Next, we have Neighbors from Hell. It is entitled, "My neighbor has been leaving notes on my door for 6 months about my aggressive dog. My dog died 8 months ago. I have lived in my current house for 4 years. The first 3.5 years, I had a golden retriever named Biscuit. He was 11, arthritic, mostly slept, and never in his life shown aggression toward anything, including the squirrels he used to slowly watch from the window. Biscuit passed away in July. It was a hard few months after that." Yeah, I can imagine. I'm sorry about Biscuit. My condolences. In September, about 6 weeks after Biscuit died, I found the first note, handwritten, unsigned, slipped under my front door. It said my dog had been barking aggressively at the fence line, and that if I couldn't control my animal, the author would be contacting animal control. Okay, go ahead. That's when you just like, go ahead, do that. You do that. Make yourself look like a fool. I assumed it was meant for someone else, maybe a different house, and threw it away. A month later, another note. Same handwriting, same complaint. This time it's saying my dog had lunged at their child through the fence. I don't have a fence. I also, again, do not have a dog. I knocked on a few neighbors trying to figure out who was writing them, and nobody claimed it. The notes were kept coming, roughly once a month. The most recent one arrived last Tuesday and accused my dog of keeping the whole street awake with barking. I have started keeping every single one in a file folder. Good. I now have 6 notes complaining about a dog that has been dead for 8 months and that I have not replaced. I genuinely don't know if this person is confusing me with someone else or if they are not well or if there's some other explanation I'm not seeing. I haven't been able to identify who's writing them. Has anyone dealt with something like this and figured out what was going on? You need a doorbell or a ring camera or something, some kind of camera. Jimmy Jim says, wait, they complained about your dog and a fence, but you don't have a fence and they still keep leaving notes? Thanks they were trying a few fries short of a Happy Meal. My aromatic ad says, exactly. At this point, it's pure imagination doing laps around their head, not your dog. I'm Smart. It says, there's a woman in my town that is fixated on her 2 neighbors to the point where many people in the town think she has now passed over to dangerous territory. She makes up lies about them, which are easily disputed by the neighborhood's camera. She calls police no less than 4 times a week and sometimes 2 to 3 times in a day reporting lies. Why isn't she arrested for reporting a false crime? Falsely reporting a crime? How should I say that? It's back a little bit. Should also move that back a little bit. I don't know what I'm doing, people. Sorry. Okay, that's better. um, Again, cameras back up the neighbors. Lately, she has now stated she will beat them up and she will end them. She'll kill them. I don't care about saying words. She will report them to ICE because Puerto Ricans are illegal, you know. The neighbors post footage on their Facebook pages not to bully her, but to show how she runs around town, fights with anyone she feels looks her way, looks her the wrong way, and absolutely nothing is done about it by law enforcement and police officials. She's obviously very mentally ill. She's been involuntarily placed in mental facilities a few times where she's medicated and stays on the medication for a few months, but then goes off them, and then the entire block gets to hear her screaming for hours every day. I say this, I say all this to number one, be careful as you may be dealing with a mentally ill person who feels you wronged them in some small way, but are blowing it up in their minds, and that was something bigger and now believes their own lies. And number two, get the ring camera with audio. What did I say? If this person is like the townswoman, they may end up making physical contact with you, make up lies that you have verbally threatened them, or even hit them. You have cameras to back you up. Just be careful and make sure your property is always locked up tight. Yes, 100%. Second top rated comment from Sissy Jones. And she says, maybe a ring camera to find the person you can address it with. They have been confusing you with someone else. Quick says, I just leave a note on my door that then get a ring doorbell just for that. I would otherwise recommend a ring. We love ours. Yeah, I mean, a note on the door. I was thinking that too. I don't have a dog. Go away. Rex says, get a camera and see who's doing this. On a side note, when I was much younger, my uncle was a veterinarian. I worked there for quite a while. After a dog or cat died, we would go to the file and make sure we were marked in the file not to send any mailers or appointment reminders for the deceased animals. Nobody wants to receive a piece of mail for a deceased pet, only brings up heartbreak. This was way before computers. We had one crazy tech who was caught intentionally putting mailers for deceased pets in the mailer's file box. She would put them in so that the owners would get appointment reminders and such years down the road. It was a sick thing that they were doing. Maybe they know the dog is gone and they're intentionally winding you up. Always a possibility. That's crazy. Next, we have found Satan. I don't know why we have found Satan, because it has math, and I don't do that. If you pick an answer to this question at random, what is the chance that you'll be correct? 50%. Statistics I can do. It's 50%. It's 50% because um it's four questions, but two of them are 25%. So that ups your chances by when in doubt, always go by C. When in doubt, always go with C. Prestigious Sugar says, and you'd be right, right or wrong. So 50% checks out. Um, Hollins says, she quotes, "You have confused possibilities with probabilities. According to you, I have a 50% chance of finding $1 million in my bed." Oh, I'm curious says, "Dibs on this guy's bed." I'm not reading that because it is way too long, but they're going 25%. If it's 25, it's 50. If it's 50, it's 25. If it's 25, it's 50. Somebody says it's none of them. Okay, plush. I like plushies. So quarter equals 25, but there's two 25%. That would be 50%. But if the correct answer is 50%, then it's a quarter again, which is 25%, which has two, which is 50%, which, okay, I give up. Ah, Canadian guy says there are only three options. So they're up. So it would be 33%. But since 33% is an option, 0% chance of getting it right. It's conundrum. It's a conundrum. Nobody knows the answer. There is no answer to this question. But they said at random. So at random, you would have 50% chance. But that didn't say that that was the answer to that particular question. Next, we have Just No Mill, entitled The Old Belly Touching Saga. Following up on a post here yesterday about telling the mother in law no touching the belly. We had lunch together today, and I had geared myself up and had it all scripted in my head. I was ready this time. I also spoke to my partner and warned him to stand up for me, or I would avoid her like the plague if she continued to doing it. I've asked her nicely not to touch my belly, but every time I see her, she does it anyway. I never touched my daughter-in-law's stomach when she was pregnant. It's gross. Unless she wanted me to. If she'd wanted me to, that would have been fine. But I would never take it. I wouldn't even ask. Today was no different. She reached out those little hands and I stepped back. She stepped forward, so I flicked her hands away as my partner started to say, I don't like it. I told her no more touching. I'm sick of saying I don't like it. Of course, she asked why, and I said, I don't like my guts being touched before I was pregnant. I'm uncomfortable with as hell. It's weird and just no. She told me she's just trying to bond with the baby. The baby, there's no baby. First of all, it's not a baby yet. Second of all, you don't bond like that. You can talk. Talking is way better because at a certain point, the fetus can hear you, but it don't care who's touching it. It's not doesn't work that way. It can't see you. It doesn't know who you are. I said, you do realize it's my body you're touching and not the baby, right? It's just, and just because your belly is huge, I feel no desire to reach out and touch it. She then said I would just have to get used to it with her, and Winging reached her hands out again. Okay, that's it. You're done. You're done, Grandma. Bye bye. Bye bye, Grandma. Not see you. um, I moved them away and told her I wouldn't be getting used to it because she wouldn't be doing it again, one way or another. She screwed up her face and went and sat down. So it turns out I didn't need him to stand up for me after all. It felt good to get my point across myself. Not the first boundary issue I've had to force with her. I'm certain it won't be the last, but maybe she'll start to figure out that I'm not in the relationship to be with her. and she can stop trying to walk over me because it's never going to work. I can be nice or I can be the opposite. It's if it's called for. If she doesn't figure it out, she doesn't have to be included. 100%. I'm glad she finally backed off. Ken Hickory says, "Why is belly touching considered anything less than sexual abuse? Because it's not your sex organs, it's just your skin, usually through a shirt. It's not. It's not your bikini area, shall we say." Legendary Mel says, "I don't understand why some people think touching pregnant women is a free for all." Exactly. What is wrong with people? I went shopping with my heavily pregnant sister. She said me, not my. So I'm not the crazy one. I went shopping with my heavily pregnant sister once. When she reached for something, a random woman touched her belly. I've never even touched her belly, and I'm related to her. My mother-in-law told me once that if I was in labor, I wouldn't care who was there. I definitely would. Yes, you will. 100%. Petty revenge. Sister entitled Sister caught her partner cheating, so she blunted his knives. That's an interesting story. Bit of a background. My sister dated a man in his early 30s who had a deep fear of sharp objects of any kind, a fear so deep that my sister cut his food for him the entirety of their relationship, as knives and scissors cause him panic attacks. He needs to go through some very serious therapy for that because that's not right. He said the texture of cutting raw meat especially made him think of human flesh and it caused scary thoughts. Scary thoughts. She even went so far as to hide the knives under the sink instead of in their block just to accommodate him. When my sister discovered he was cheating, he blew up and started screaming, not just at my sister, but at her 10-year-old child. Horrible, mean, nasty things. So when my sister came back and packed her things the next day, she went to the knife block, which ironically was his, took the knives he would use to cut meat, and went out to the patio and tapped the blade against the concrete, dulling them and putting nicks in the blade. So any future cutting would be a sensory nightmare for him. Evil genius. Edited to add, he just started being comfortable with cutting things for the last month or two leading up to the big blow up that caused her to leave. So I absolutely would have been using the knives. Possible passes: blunt the knives, bend the forks, smash the bottles, and burn the corks. Chip the glasses and crack the plates. That's what a cheater hates. It goes on. Baron Heisenberg answers: cut the cloth, tread on the fat, leave the bones in the bathroom mat. Uh, pour the milk on the pantry floor, splash the wine on every door. Tusk continues. Dump the crocks in a boiling bowl, pound them up with a thumping pole. When you're finished, if they are whole, send them down the hall to roll. Bacon Bitsy, hide the shrimp tails and curtain rods. Fill his car with crap from the dogs. Sardine juice went in every vent. Where did his car get that dent? Bird flu. This goes on. We got three more. Bird flu says clip cables, chargers, steal remotes, fart spray inside all the coats. Hardware pulled from every door, glitter dumped on every floor. Chocolate says don't forget to take left socks, set time back on all the clocks, unscrew a light in every fixture. Who dropped the wedding picture? Tyrannus says poison ivy rubbed in his shirts or liquid cayenne, tiny squirts. And if you don't mind taking risks, don't forget about piss sticks. Piss dicks. Discs. What are piss dicks? Piss discs. Discs. And Skylark Landing says freeze pea in a shallow dish to make it look like a flat disc. Slide disc under door. Piss melts on the other side. I don't know where the idea originated, but I've seen it pop up in a few Reddit threads as suggested revenge. um, Cycle over Bay says, as far as I know, traditionally speaking, one would use a frisbee to manufacture them. Interesting. Cat urine would be even better. It's from Low Butterscotch and Sheet. They are right. They are right. Second top rated comment is sees it and it says, how is it possible for a man like this to have any woman willing to sleep to him? Flux my capacitor says too many women have really low standards. That is 100% correct. I don't know, having to cut up meat for a grown man would make me feel like his mommy and I'd be as dry as a Sam Sahara. Bacon Bitsy says, hey Siri, what specialist handles vaginal tumbleweeds? Thirsty Knowledge says, funny how a dull knife is actually more dangerous than a sharp one. Greedy Ad says, it makes it even more diabolical. To be honest, not just petty, but low key sabotage too. Next, we have AI, Am I the Jerk? And it is entitled AITJ for not warning the guy who keeps stealing my lunch that my food had something in it he can't eat. Nope. I don't care what it is. Do not steal other people's lunches. You should go to jail for it. It should be worse than breaking into somebody's house because that makes people hangry. Don't do it. And if you do it and you have a bad outcome from it, honey, that's on you because you should not be doing that. Someone at my job has been stealing my food out of the communal fridge for weeks. I'm not guessing. I know exactly who it is. This newer guy who started about 2 months ago. Some context. I follow a pretty strict diet for religious reasons. I can't just run out and grab food from wherever. So I make homemade meals every single day. I can't think of a religious dietary restriction that would cause you not to be able to go get some food somewhere. That being said, he still shouldn't get his food stolen. Period. End of sentence. It's time consuming, but it's necessary because my options are really limited otherwise. Unless there's one religion, maybe the Jains, that they're extremely strict in that they don't even they don't kill even plants to get their food. Ah, I was right, Jainism. So maybe he's Jain. um when my food disappears, I'm not eating lunch, period. There's nowhere nearby I can get something that works for me on short notice. I think this guy figured that out. He follows similar dietary restrictions, and I think he clocked early on that whatever I was bringing was safe for him to eat. I'm pretty visible about my background, so it wouldn't have been hard to connect the dots. Every time my lunch vanished, he'd be sitting at his desk eating something that looked suspiciously like what I packed that morning. I talked to him about it twice. Both times he completely denied it, acted confused, said he had no idea what I was talking about. So I dropped it and just kept bringing my food because what else am I supposed to do? Stop eating? Well, apparently, because you're not going to eat anyway. Last week, my partner made dinner and we had leftovers. The meal had an ingredient in it that's totally normal for me, but that this coworker has a serious restriction against for his own personal reasons. I wonder what that was. I packed the leftovers for lunch the next day. I wrote my name on the container like I always do. I didn't list the ingredients because nobody in our office does that. Plus, you shouldn't have to. It's your food. You know what's in it. Nobody else needs to know. It's a communal fridge full of containers with names on them, and that's it. Lunchtime comes. I open the fridge. My food is gone. Shocking. I walk to his desk. He's eating it. I told him straight up that the food he stole has a specific ingredient that I know he doesn't eat. He stopped chewing. Started yelling about how I did this on purpose, that I knew about his restriction and deliberately didn't warn him. I'm going to warn you not to steal my food. That I basically booby trapped him with my own lunch to catch him. He said I could have just confronted him again instead of letting him eat something he can't. Oh, too bad. I told him I did confront him twice. He denied it both times. I don't owe a thief a detailed breakdown of what's in my personal food. If he didn't steal it, he wouldn't have eaten it. Simple. Went to HR. They reviewed everything, ruled completely in my favor, said stealing food is a policy violation. They had zero obligation to label the ingredients on my own meal. I didn't set anyone up. I brought my own leftovers from my own dinner. I didn't change what I eat to trap him. He made the choice to open a container with someone else's name on it and eat it. Every consequence that followed came from that choice, not mine. I hope he got fired. AITJ. No, not at all. If anything, you should have set him up for it. You should have. Teach him a lesson. Obviously, he's not allergic to it, so it's not like really bad consequences. And even if he was, consequences of your own actions. Oh, no consequences. Just a Muggle says, Auntie J, he's a thief and he got his consequences. End of story. Mochi Meow Meringue says, for real, the level of audacity you, to yell at someone for not warning you about the ingredients and food you stole from them is astronomical. Like it was like audacity was being given away free that day. He didn't just steal your lunch, he stole your ability to eat for the day, knowing full well that you have religious restrictions. He wasn't trapped, he was caught in the act of being a hypocrite. If he's so concerned about his dietary restrictions, maybe he should try eating the food that he actually brought and prepared it himself. Candy Giggly answers exactly the audacity that is what makes it wild. He's acting like you owe him a menu breakdown for food that he's wasn't supposed to be eating in the first place. Second top rated comment is from Infamous External, and it says, this is extremely common, or do Redditors have the worst of the bunch? I mean, who hasn't gotten their food stolen? It's extremely common. Uh, New Temke says, right, I've worked with plenty of horrible people in the past and have never actually witnessed an actual serial lunch thief in the workplace. Edit, the replies have shown me that there is true evil out there, and I am very grateful for my coworkers who bring their own lunches every day. Kim Liddell answers, I worked in the same place for 30 years, and we've had several. One guy started taking my Nutri-Grain bars off the table in the lunchroom. When confronted, he said it was just sitting there for days. No, dumbass, I'd eat it and bring another one the next day. Not that it matters, it's not yours, so don't take my stuff. I have no idea what that's supposed to say. 80. I don't know. I'll call him 80 because it's a J, an 8, and it's a Y, and I'm calling it 80. JD? Maybe it's JD. We'll call him JD. JD says, I worked in schools where this would happen regularly, especially staff taking things like crisps, chocolates, prepackaged sandwiches from the kitchens and hoping no one would notice. One woman would sneak into the kitchen early in the morning and help herself to bagels and cream cheese. It got to the point where she was taking several a day and taking packets of bagel home with her. Holy cow, that's just upright theft. Oh, this is a long one. Castle's Rock says, we had a notorious food thief who would steal anything, uh, really, if he thought he could, but especially food because he'd eat it and there'd be no evidence since the stolen item would never be found in his possession. I had heard of his reputation, but in general, I didn't believe anything I heard about people until I had my own experience. I found him odd but friendly, but came to believe the rumors were true when I watched him put my travel size hand lotion in his sock and take off with it. Looked at me straight in the eye and asked to borrow it, and then didn't blink when I said, I don't have any lotion. I think it walked off, literally. Several months later, when I was obscenely pregnant, but thugging it out at work to maximize my leave time after the baby was born, I frequently get treats from colleagues to ease my suffering. One day, a colleague brought me a pastry from a fancy bakery and left it on my desk. I was working in another office all morning, and when I arrived at my desk, I found an empty bakery box on it, right on my keyboard. I had an office, not a cubicle, with a door. I thought it was weird and just tossed it on the table near my desk and got to work. A while later, the person who brought it asked me how I liked it, and I said, "Liked what?" They pointed to the box, and I explained that it was on my desk but had nothing in it. They got angry, got up muttering, and I shrugged. Later that day, some other people said the thief had been in my office. They came to see me and found him sitting in my desk, and he seemed uncomfortable, got up and left, claiming he was looking for office supplies to borrow without being asked. They replied that they thought he was eating breakfast at my desk. He got pissed and said, "I told you I was getting supplies. How does that equal breakfast? Why would I eat anything at her desk?" And they replied, "Well, we saw you eating something and assumed it was breakfast because you had powdered sugar on your face and hands." What a jerk. They joked, "Don't worry, pal, we won't tell your wife you were cheating on your diet with another woman's donut." At which point he threatened the person who said it and took off. Like, bring it. You gonna threaten me? Bring it, dude. See what happens to you. After hearing this, and I not violent, but something will happen to him because he'll probably lose his job. After hearing this, I sent him an email because despite the lotion incident, which didn't make me mad, just confused, I had offered it to him before and we were friendly to clear the air. I knew he was a hothead and I didn't want to trouble for him or me. Why is this man, why are you putting up with this? Jeez. I knew he was a hothead and really didn't want to get any trouble for him or me. I didn't care. I wasn't expecting a pastry at 38 weeks pregnant. Couldn't eat more than a bite of anything. I told him I had heard that someone brought me a pastry, but I didn't know anything about it, especially how it tasted. Rumor had he might know. I told him it was all good, first come serve, serve, but he owed me a donut someday when had room for it, joking. Next time, make sure you grab a napkin, bottom left drawer. I included a smile emoji. Dude teleported to my office, rage vapored through the floor, I guess because he materialized in my office in my face, all red and snarling, "Who accused me? Who's spreading lies?" instantly. He walked over to the table and bashed the pastry box so it flew across the room. I said, "I don't even like pastry." I don't even like pastry. I couldn't help but laugh. Who doesn't like pastry? Come on. He stormed out and he went to the larger shared office nearby where my coworkers sat, and I heard him confronting them, threatening to destroy the people attempting to destroy his reputation that he already had that had already happened. He was not liked or trusted by most people. Why has no one gone to HR about this? Why are you people putting up with this? I don't understand. I mean, I've had people go to HR and things that are way less than this, like far, far less. And other people got in trouble for it when it was all his doing anyway. He went so far as to threaten to beat up a jacked up bodybuilder. I'm fairly sure it's in a motorcycle gang and go after his wife. Luckily, he laughed and said, "Good luck with that." He pitied the a hole that brought trouble to his wife. It was none of those people who had seen him in my office and told me about it. That guy went on to steal a camera, all my pens, a few plants, dozens of people's lunches, a whole box of ice cream sandwiches, a whole cheesecake. He gave that back when he realized he stole that from the president's secretary, and a toaster. This guy's a kleptomaniac that I know of. He also did follow that big guy home and try to intimidate him by standing outside his house while staring for several hours and then calling his house and hanging up. As promised, his wife eventually went out and said something to him, and he made him get in his car and never that made him get in his car and never made him come back. I met her. This is totally believable. This woman was great, kind, funny, smart, 100 pounds dressed in a parka and soaking wet, and the daughter of a notorious dirtbag mafia type criminal. He eventually got fired. No idea why. Food thieves are real. Corporate offices are like paradise for them. Oh, okay. We got to end that one on that. That's great. Entitled people. Entitled. How dare you do this to me? Pulled up to a red light, started talking to the passenger side beside me. Wham, got rear ended. Head bangs the headrest and immediately look in the rear mirror to see a young girl looking shocked with a phone in hand. I get out and she immediately starts sobbing and apologizing. Another vehicle stops and the driver informs me she saw her speeding while texting and offers to contact info. The girl who rear-ended us continued to cry, saying she will pay for everything. Please don't call the police or insurance. I look at the damage, which didn't appear to be substantial. Hers looked worse, being a small two-door hitting my larger SUV. I asked her if she's honest and will cover the damages, and she, sobbing, agrees. We exchange information and part ways. The works, tear works sort of moved me, and I thought she seemed honest. I think it's water. You're supposed to say waterworks. Tear works doesn't work. I take my vehicle to the shop for an estimate $4,000 ish. My entire bumper had to be replaced. Yep, that's what happens. That's normal. I send the girl my estimate, and her immediately replies, "I'm not paying that." Come again? She claims her current financial situation is bad. Starts telling me I have to get multiple quotes, and she can pick the one she likes. Hearing enough and having broken her agreement, I hung up and called the police. The lady who witnessed, uh, then the insurance. Police officer arrived to inspect and inquired why I didn't call right away. I said she said to she promised to pay cash and then reneged. I also provided the contact for the witness. Cop gave me a report and insurance took over. Within an hour, my phone rings and it's the girl. Pure venom in your voice. How dare you do that to me? She snarled. It was at this point she experienced a verbal education, one she was clearly lacking on how to properly behave. You crashed into me while speeding on your phone. You are at fault. You caused this. Nobody else did but you. Grow the weighing up and accept responsibility for your actions. After which I blocked her number, and I hope insurance took good care of him, and I hope he got extra from her insurance. Lady Zafira says whenever a driver starts telling you that they will pay as long as you don't call the police and insurance, you need to call the police and insurance. You're lucky she gave you a working number. Butterscotch Chill says this. I went through this with an older woman. I got a quote and told her I needed to rent a car while my car was being replaced. I had an infant and my husband drove a two-seater car. Without a rental, I couldn't have gone anywhere. She had a meltdown and demanded her son-in-law come to look at the car. He looked at it and left. She told me she wasn't paying for a rental car and to get lower bids. I thanked her, hung up, and called my insurance company. She was pissed. Warfield Archer says I was hit by a van while parking outside my house. Multiple witnesses saw it, and the van driver immediately admitted responsibility. Contacted the insurance, and the car was taken away for repairs. My insurance also covered a hire car while my car was in the shop. The van driver's insurance paid for the repair work, no problem, but took my insurers 2 years to get the cost of the hire car. That's weird. Successful Voice says, my niece works for a major insurance carrier. She says this happens all the time. The person at fault usually assumes the repairs will be a couple $100s, but when they get the actual estimate, they refuse. It's never a couple $100s anymore. If you get off at $500-600, you're getting off easy. My niece has instructed us all to call the insurance company from the accident scene, regardless of what the other driver says. FYI, out in my area, outside a large U.S. city, the police will only show up if someone is injured. Otherwise, it's just dealing with the insurance company. So we are told to get out of your car with your phone recording so that you have accurate records since we can't get a police report. You can also go to the police and report it. You can go to the police station and report it. I've done that. And insurance took care of my car. That was 27 years ago? 28 years ago? 27 and a half years ago? Honeyed Vinegar says, yeah, I used to work in a city where police would only come if there was an injury, if one or more vehicles was damaged to unmovable and blocking traffic. Where I live now, they come to any collision. Either way, that's what insurance is for. When I was hit a few years ago, other driving attempting to make a right on a red on slushy roads as if they were dry. I was in the left-hand turn lane but couldn't move forward. I had to call my insurance just for assistance in getting her insurance company's number because she was one of those last chance insurance that covers people who have been dropped by all the good companies. I knew it wasn't going to be good when she started pointing out to the cop that the damage was already there more than once. Aces and eights says, I always call the police after a couple of experiences where the people hit me and tried to say it was my fault. One time I was on an 8-lane highway in the far right lane. A taxi driver came swerving across 3 lanes and smashed into my front left quarter panel, bending my axle and spinning me out into the shoulder. His car just has some cosmetic damages to the side and dents on the door. My car was inoperable. He wanted to exchange numbers and leave me on the side of the road. I let him go, but got the business card from the guy's passengers first, who swore they would vouch for the fact that the driver hit me. Months later, this dude tries to take me to court, suing me and my insurance company for the damages to his taxi. I won the case, but it was giant PETA. Next time it happened, I was pulling into a left turn lane next to a line of stopped cars at a red light in the straight ahead lane. As I got into the left turn lane, one of the cars stopped in line next to me, pulled into the turn lane without even looking and smashing into my car. We pulled over and the driver insisted it was my fault. I had the cops come out and wouldn't let him leave. They were able to pull the traffic camera footage and show to him saying, maybe you want to change your story. He admitted fault and the police noted it in the report. Okay, and the third top priority comment is called "No Hospital." And it said, "Well, you just learned your lesson at a very similar and luckily, a cop passed when we were both on the side of the road. Similar to you, my bumper looked not too bad. Sadly, there was damage I couldn't see. It was $4,800 or something. No way I would have ever been paid if I hadn't followed a report with that cop and just happened to be driving by. Good luck. You might still be able to get her insurance to cover it. Always follow a report, anyways. Exactly. Always." Next, we have expectation versus reality. And it says, I tried to bake this cake for the first time, and it's entitled Mirror Cake. And this looks very delicious. Very pretty and delicious. It's lovely. You can see why it's called a mirror cake because it's reflecting the flowers there. Oh my, that is not good. What did you do? I mean, it's mirror. What did you do, dude? Oh, tried making this cake for the first time. A view at Chew says, my favorite part of this is that the OP understood the cake didn't quite turn out, but they were undeterred. They said to themselves, I've committed to doing the best I can. Let's push on. And they did, even putting the gold flakes on, probably while shedding a tear. And while the end result isn't anything close to what they set out to create, it was still beautiful because they didn't quit. And they didn't give up when things looked black. OP, I commend you. Lesser people would have quit in frustration. You persevered in the face of failure. Good on you. This Visasi says, I have no idea what OP looks like, but I'm imagining Catherine O'Hara with a cocktail in one hand and gold leaf in the other, and just being a boss about it. Oh. Carrie Thin says, I mean, you nailed the glaze, which is true. They nailed the glaze. You just kind of messed up everything that was underneath. Ambitious Ed says, yeah, the glaze looks good to me. The glaze isn't as forgiving as something like buttercream or even store-bought frosting, which can cover mistakes. It kind of looks like slightly crumbled pancakes or something underneath. But does it taste good? LP says it did. People said it tasted good. I'm still not going to do it again anytime soon. I just got a scraper, so I can do stuff now. Targaryen-ish says that certainly is one of the cakes of all time. All right, if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. Try to go live at least 4 times a week, usually around noon Eastern time. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, and tell your baker. If you have a story of your own or come across a good one in the wild, please send us an email entitled submission. You know who else you can tell? You can tell your local food thief. The email is biddybrunchbunch, all one word, at gmail.com, and the email is also in the description. Wait, that's not right. I missed something. Hold on just a second. I don't know how I missed that. That was not good. I missed a whole section, an important section, one of our favorites. The real estate section. Somehow did not get on here. And I checked, I double checked, and I triple checked. um, so this is from Zillow Gone Wild. It's entitled "Live Like a Monk in the Mojave for Only $87,000." This is in Johnson Valley, California. Well, it's this little hovel for um, $87,000. And it claims no beds and no baths. It's 280 square feet. So it's bigger than a tiny home. I think it's just a shed. They're selling a shed. Oh, that's nice. It's got a fireplace. Actually looks quite good inside. Although I fear that that's a fake rug and a fake chair and a fake table and a fake desk. I mean, if you just want something little out in the country that you don't have to worry about, but you just want some privacy and some quiet, this would be perfect. That's all they got is 11 photos. Of course, there's not much there, so that's not surprising. Oh, how do I go? Oh, back up here. Never mind. So it's Johnson Valley, California. No beds, no baths. 280 square feet. Built in 1956. It's on 5 acres, which is not bad. Um, it's a vintage cabin on 5 scenic acres. This is like something you just go for the day. You just go out there for the day and enjoy the day. Maybe take a porta potty with you. Across from BLM, Bighorn. What's BLM? I don't know. Breathtaking Bighorn Mountain Wilderness. This property offers endless opportunities for off-roading, hiking, horseback riding, and exploring, making it a true dream for King of Hammers and outdoor enthusiasts. Um, it offers room for horses, off-road toys, and future expansion. Electricity is on the street, and buyers may consider adding a well and solar for off-grid living. Rare opportunity to own a classic desert cabin surrounded by open space and natural beauty. So you aren't staying there for very long. It's not a house. You're not living. You're not living there. It's just a place on the land. Lock floors, open floor plan, unfinished, unfurnished. Flooring is concrete. It has a fireplace, which is nice. I like the fireplace. Um, no common walls. 5 acres. Entries in the back. No pool. Has views. Field description: desert, mountains, and hills. Horse property, rectangular lot. The roof is rolled hot mop. I don't know what that means. Do not know what that means. Should ask my son. He probably knows what that means. He's a contractor. $87,000 for 5 acres. Is that bad? I don't know. It sold in 2020 for 60,000. So it's not outrageous, I guess. Holy cow. So they sold it in April of 2020 for 28,000, and then the new owner sold it in October of the same year for 60,000. Somebody made bank. Property taxes are only $940. So if you got 100 grand sitting around, you might want to consider it. You do have neighbors. There are neighbors nearby. A couple of them, actually. Okay. Apesman says homesteader house. There are hundreds of them on 5-acre parcels in the high desert of the Mojave. These were created in the 1950s to entice people out from the east and help build up the region. It didn't quite work out that way. Um, Minnesota North says even the Easterners like a bathroom and a refrigerator. uh, Worldly Great says I don't see any lights or outlets. I wonder if it even has power edited. Look it up, and I don't think so. Electricity, I told you it's on the street. In my state, a house isn't considered habitable without electricity. Well, this isn't considered habitable, period. I don't think it's habitable for a house. Hey, we're rugged individuals out here. Just give me my powder horn and a Bowie knife, and I'm all set. Size of the story, and this says this is so cool, and it would be really helpful since my mom took away my doorknob. I'm sorry, your mom did what, honey? This says it's a one of those. So you can change it. It says come in hanging out. Why is the store closed? Mostly to keep the cats out. If the sign is red, do keep the interruptions to a minimum. If the sign is green, come on in. I don't understand why somebody would take somebody's doorknob. Human Edge says if your mom took away your doorknob, I struggle to believe that she cares about any kind of sign saying not to come in. Laughing Horse says mom may not respect the sign, but siblings and guests may respect the sign. Insomni says mom was convinced with no evidence that I was doing drugs in my room, so she took the entire door off and hid it. I didn't have a door for 4 years until I moved out at 17. You poor thing. Front Mall says, gonna go out on a limb and say this is how her door at the nursing home will be. And they answer, I'm not paying a cent. Unfortunately, I have a pushover golden child brother who probably will, though. Well, yeah, he should. Third top rated comment is from Chops, and it says, don't come in aggressively masturbate. Oh, that's funny. This is entitled Confession, and it is entitled, I took a $3,000 bathroom break at work. A 3K bathroom break at work. Last year I was working in the holidays. Not many of the technical staff were in, so I used the time to catch up on some clerical work. When I heard the ping of the pre-alarm of a fire sensor. If only one sensor triggers, you get a minute to reset in case of a fire alarm. I used to work in a nursing home, and I always knew when the fire alarm was going to go off because it would like seal the registers, and one of them was right above the desk. So you would hear the crap, fire alarm's going off. Why? Usually it was because somebody burned their popcorn in the microwave. Last year I was working in the holidays and not many of the staff were in, so I used the time to catch up on some clerical work when I heard the ping of the pre-alarm fire sensor. If only one sensor triggers, you get a minute to reset in case of a false alarm. I go over to the control panel to hot the alarm and call the kitchen up. They apologize, yada yada. They will not do it again. Satisfied with my victory, I decided it was time for a break and getting paid for what I do best. As I was doing my business, I once heard the distinguished ping. Should have waited 5 minutes to make sure they were not triggering it again. Yes. I could have run out of the bathroom with the full moonshine and let my cheeks butter each other up blowing in brown dough and stopped the alarm? Yes. Could I have pulled up my clothes and snapped on my pants? Yes. Could I have cleaned myself up vigorously, quickly, while trying to maintain some kind of dignity and reach the panel in time? Maybe. I decided I wasn't paid enough for that and let the alarm go live. The cost of the fire department to look around is $3,000. Not the first time this happened with the partial evacuation from the alarm. It was probably more than $3,000 break. I only feel bad the firefighters had to waste their time with this as they have better things to do. I remember one time the fire alarm was going off and they were like teaching me, they're like, nobody's there. Like, no, maintenance is gone. It's like 8 o'clock at night. No one is here. And they're like, well, okay, go to the panel. Do you know where the panel is? I'm like, yes, I know where the panel is. Go to the panel and see if you can find this button. Oh my god. I had no idea what I was doing. I think I got it done. I can't even remember if I did it or not. I think I did. Don't know what to say says you handled it like a sane person. Cutie Fawn says, honestly, yeah, there's a line where responsibility ends and basic human dignity begins, and you found it. No job is paying enough for the run out mid poop to save the building scenario. Argon is the second top rated comment says, you didn't cost them anything. You tried to save them money, and then the kitchen lied. Ruby Window says the first what why was the sensor going off in the first place? Because of the kitchen. LP answers they were grilling meat in a non-designated area that's used for warming up food or keeping it warm. The sensor saw a black hot cloud of air and triggered. The designed ones have an exhaust hood to suck up the smoke. That makes sense. This is interesting AF, and it is entitled in 2017. An Estonian reporter tried to interview a deer, and this was the result. Okay, so I have my. Yeah, I do. I already did that right. And oops.
Linnaaliku vallas Valasti külas, kus üks metskits tuli ühe pere ukse taha.
Hakkasin koera ketti vahetama, et vana kett oli juba kulunud ja panin uue ketti ja
That's funny. That's funny. I admit it. I liked it. Bethro says, that was a very thought out answer. What an articulate deer. Everybody's just put up nodding gifs. Our house, somebody put up a meme of the deer, a gif of the deer. And our house answers with, I swear the look on that deer's face reminds me of this meme format. And it is how it feels talking with my tall friends. Oh, it's too funny. Everybody's putting up the deer gif. Next, we have Emma the A-hole, and it is entitled AITA for firing my mom from childcare over a $5 class. Maybe. My husband and I have a 16-month-old daughter, Ellie. I just went back to work part-time, and I had my mom watching Ellie 2 days a week. Ellie goes to this little toddler class through our rec center twice a week. It's a 2-hour class, and every class has free play, a circle time with a story and song, and an art project. That sounds cute. A little sophisticated for a 16-year-old, but okay. During free play, kids can have 4 different table stations that they could visit, including an art table, a corner of the room with all cars, trucks, and trends, the house corner with a kitchen, baby dolls, dramatic play area, changes bi-weekly. I've seen a grocery store, vet's office, and a pizza shop, the book area, the block area, and the patio. Patio has 2 water tables, two playhouses, a sandbox, tricycles, and a little Tykes car. Each class is only $5. That sounds like a bargain. Parents, caregivers are required to stay and supervise their children. That makes sense. If you're only charging $5, that makes sense that the parents would have to stay. This is playtime, not childcare. It spilled. This is why I usually have a lid, because I'm not a good person. I'm not a person that should be having stuff. Luckily, it didn't go in the keyboard. Just on it a little bit. It'll be fine. We'll all live. Didn't go under the thing. We're all good. My husband will have a fit if he ever finds out, but we're all good. Ellie loves this class. She's addicted to the chalkboards there and is starting to approach other babies. She does taste test every foam block in the room and has eaten her fair share of crayons and finger paint, on top of drenching herself in water and then rolling around in the sandbox and covering her in paint. But it's nothing that can't be solved without a change of clothes and hosing her off. I love how great the class is for her development. She is starting to know the names of colors and she can sit down and play with toys for longer stretches. My mom hated the toddler class. She describes it as chaos and insists that a walk around the block or a trip to the library is just as good, if not better, for her development and is much less messy. No, she's just worried about the mess. She's just worried about the mess and how it affects her. I insisted that she take Ellie, which she agreed to, and then stop taking her behind my back. I only notice when I realize we haven't gotten art projects back in a while. Since she lied to me about it, where she's going with my daughter and refusing to take her to class that I truly believe is good for her, I fired my mom from babysitting and hired a college student to stay with her while I'm working. Excuse me. Now my mom is upset by I'm restricting her access to her granddaughter and leaving her with a stranger, which is the one thing she was trying to prevent by babysitting my daughter with me for me. Now I want to know if I was the a-hole for firing my mom and not having Allie see her nearly as much over a $5 class. No. Your mother had one job. Take Allie to her little class. And she didn't do it. I think it would be fun to take my grandsons to a little class like that. They're so entertaining at that age. A comment was removed by the moderator. And Bing Bong answers that, yep, this grandma is needs to respect parents' wishes or parents will find a babysitter who will do what they ask point blank. Plus, it's an amazing social opportunity for a little one, especially spending all the time with grandma and will not provide her with the same developmental opportunities at a very critical age because grandma's afraid of making a mess. I admit I don't like young messes either, but you're watching toddlers, it's got to be done. Try to keep it outside. Also, having been the college kid nanny in my past, I sure appreciate the cash. Lelila says, I had some classes like this when I was 4 or 5 and I loved them so much. I have many fond memories of my parents, still have many of the art projects. The grandma is just plain wrong that a walk around the block is the same. Latin Canadian says, oh man, as a mom with a very active toddler, I'm very envious of this class. The next top rated comment is from Soft Tangelo, and it says, NTA, I'm a nanny and I work mostly with kids that age. I've come to realize most of the grandparents of boomerish age, 50s to 70s, can't handle most of what is best practice now for kids in kid spaces, which looks super messy and chaotic because they weren't allowed to be like that and they can't handle it with their grandchildren. It's more upsetting and sad that your mom lied to you over this. It's the lying and not doing it that gets me. Missing the actual class for a month or so isn't a huge deal, but she did lose your trust, and realistically, she may never earn it back. Rowan's Rice says, itty bitty nitpick, boomers are 62 to 80. Thank you. No, I'm not included in that. 50s is firmly angry Gen X. I don't know why. Maybe this granny got supervised but never had fun, or maybe there was something in her garden hose that ate the fun section out of her brain. Or she's old enough that chaos just overwhelms her, like another commenter mentioned. Janorma says, thanks for not lumping us in with the boomers. Broken Ice Cube says, lying is the issue here. I'm a big believer in they won't melt, and a messy child is a happy child. And I can understand if others are okay without out letting a child they're looking after get super messy. Grandma not wanting to have to deal with the sopping wet paint covered kiddo isn't reasonable. What is what is lying to you about where your kid was for weeks on end. Makes you wonder what else she lied about. You should be able to fully trust her, trust the people you trust with your kid. Exactly. Had the kids out last week because it was very nice. Not last week. Oh yeah, it was this week. I'm trying to think. I cannot remember what Monday was like this week. Anyway, the kids had took a couple trucks out from the house, little Hot Wheel trucks. And of course, they got all muddy because they think it's funny when grandma says don't get the cars muddy. Because grandma is the one that has to clean them. And they got them all muddy, and I came in and I cleaned them. It's not that big a deal. Good Pies says, makes you wonder what else she lied about. Quoted, makes you wonder what else she lied about. And they say, this is the key part. What's next? Does Granny disagree with the medication the kid is supposed to take? Being neglectful of trust and respect is 100% on Granny. Overheard, entitled Coffee Shop Karen. I overheard a Karen confronting a barista this morning. Karen, you don't want to hire my son, but you're willing to hire a wanging stripper. Unbelievable. Oh my. Barista, ma'am, your son is not experienced enough for the position. I'm sorry. Karen, he's 17. What did you expect? Barista, experience, ma'am. Karen, does the stripper have experience? Actually, you know what? Don't answer that. I want to talk to the stripper. Is it you? Are you the stripper? Barista, I'm the barista, ma'am. Karen, did you tell my son you'll give him a free lap dance when he turns 18? Barista, no, ma'am. I informed your inexperienced son that his job application is still unsuccessful after he reapplied for the position and requested to work the same shift as the barista he believed was a stripper. Karen, I'm going to pray for your business to burn to the wanging ground. Very Christian of you. Barista, something tells me your son will be very sad if that actually happened, ma'am. Karen stormed out. Keep watching me is the top rated comment, and she says, this barista deserves a raise and a medal. I'm the barista, ma'am. It should be on a t-shirt. Karen really came ready to fight ghosts and left with nothing but embarrassment. Mung Yang Sein says, not a t-shirt, but the staff t-shirts. Patio Giver says, exactly. I never go to the coffee shops, but I'm going to special order me and I'm the barista, ma'am, t-shirt tomorrow. I have a friend that would be more than happy to make that one with a steaming cup of coffee underneath it. Yes. Living the dream is the second top rated comment, and it's quotes, I'm the barista, ma'am, said in the deadpan voice of a land shark. Tristan Boo says, Candygram. Benny says, I'm just a dolphin, ma'am. Luna Moss says, are you sure you're not a shark? NASA Macaroni says, flowers for the lady? Oh, that's funny. Munchinera Rera says, mothers coddling their sons who are on the cusp of legal adulthood is pathetic. Oh, I have stories. Next, we have Giraffe on My Chest, and it is entitled, trigger warning, well, warning for the littles. You may not want them hearing this. My dad saw my sex tape, and now he won't speak to me. I, female 19, after I left for spring break, saw my dad break. My dad saw the sex tape I recorded with my boyfriend. In my room, I have an iMac. Usually the family comes in and out of the room while I'm in college to use it since it's the only computer that's in the house. I'd completely forgotten that my iCloud on my iMac is the same one on my phone, so anyone who uses the iMac can see whatever messages or pictures I have on my phone. That's a very bad oversight, little girl. And I'm not dissing her for recording herself. That's fine. I have no problem with that, but very big oversight. The notification was a memory from my phone, specifically a video that was taken on that exact date. I'm assuming he clicked on it because eventually my sister had called me on the phone saying my dad was really angry. He said he had seen the video of me and my boyfriend having sex and that he was going to talk to my grandma on the phone about it. Why would you do that? Keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself, sir. This is not any of your business. You snooped where you shouldn't have been. If you didn't go looking for something, you wouldn't have seen something. She's an adult. She can do what she wants. You have no right to be mad at her. um, I tried to call my dad multiple times, but he wouldn't answer me. I even texted him. I called my sister and asked her if she could give him the phone, but he refused. I tried to talk to my grandma about it, and she told me that my dad is disappointed in me and he needs some time to think. It's been 2 weeks and I still haven't spoken to my dad. My dad is ex military and raised me and my sister all by himself, and there isn't a day in my life I haven't spoken to my dad at least once. That's got to be horrible. I'm so sorry, honey. I'm sorry that your dad is acting so immature about this. I felt so embarrassed and ashamed. Yeah, most people would feel embarrassed about that. You should not be ashamed of yourself, though. You did nothing wrong. He went looking, he found something he didn't want to find. That's on him, not on you. I've tried to watch videos of people who have actually been in the same situation to make myself feel better, but all I feel is guilt and embarrassment, and I actually want to die. No, you don't. Don't say things like that, sweetie. Edit, I can see the confusion, but my dad isn't some kind of weirdo. For those saying he's weird to watch the whole thing. My thumbnail was black when he clicked on it and he saw the rest. I don't believe he watched the whole thing. Well, I hope not, but still, he should not have done that. Don't click on notifications for other people. Throatinator says, hey, the dad stuff aside, I cannot emphasize more how dangerous it is to keep sensitive material like that backed up on multiple devices, especially on the cloud. It's not worth it at all. Yeah, that's true. People can hack you. Delirium Red says, yep, dad seeing it is the best case scenario here. If you have to make that type of content, please be careful and store it offline, ideally. Yeah, that's true. Second top rated comment is from John Knight Tuck. I accidentally saw a video of my son. I just sent a text saying, are you aware? And no one else will know. I kept my promise and I didn't even tell my wife. Good man. Good man, John. Beef Tony says, I mean, you didn't keep your promise. We all know now. John says, you're right, but none of my family and friends are on Reddit. I'm 80 in May, and most of them don't get it. Master Accident says, I didn't expect an 80-year-old would be around here on Reddit. That's so cool. I hope you have a good day and a great life ahead. Silent Titan says, a sex tape at 19 would knock the wind out of any father's sail. Regardless if he ever speaks to you again or not, he very likely will. It's just a matter of time where he sorts out his feelings. You need to purge that video from every location you have it. It's not worth to keep such a video backed up to storage connected things like the cloud. Not to mention, let's say it gets out, everyone will see it and will be spread among your social circles and follow you around for life. Once it's out, you cannot take it back. There's no guarantee you'll be with this guy forever either. So imagine you've broken up and you got a new boyfriend or girlfriend and they stumble onto it or are sent it by some bad actor. That will be a long few weeks, if not months. Be safe, be strong, and I hope your father talks to you again soon. I mean, I have pictures of myself from college that I don't want my dad to see, but because he'd act like that. Next, we have What Do I Do? And it's entitled, My Boyfriend and I Broke Up 24 Hours Ago, and he already slept with another woman. Well, okay. You're broke up, honey. Some non related text. My boyfriend, 22 male, and I, 20 female, officially broke up 24 hours ago due to this past week. We mutually decided that we wanted different things at the moment, but left it open ended if we would ever get back together or not. I ran away from his proposal. He got mad and things escalated, and we couldn't reconcile our differences. He was the only guy I've ever been intimate with, and the only one I once I want to be intimate with truly, and I was his first as well. I went over to drop some stuff off this afternoon, and he opened his flat girl with a girl on his t-shirt on and just her underwear. That's what it says. Obviously, since we were leaving things more ambiguous, if we would ever get back together in the future, it stung so much to realize he'd already moved on. He said, Oops, I thought she would be gone before you got here. But I literally texted him I was on my way, hence the screenshot. Okay. I'm on my way. She just tell him she's on his way. She's on her way. And she's bringing him a sweater. I started to cry and he just said sorry, but it was very flat like he didn't mean it. I just shoved him his stuff, and now I'm back home sobbing. I know we were technically broken up, but we dated for 3 years. We were each other's first, and he's so flippant about things. I would never, ever even consider sleeping with another guy, much less 24 hours after it ended. I'm overreacting for being so upset. Own business says time to move on, process the grief of the relationship, get back into healthy hobbies, and rediscover yourself again. Remember the saying, all is fair in love and war. Now you know what that really means. Um, Somebody else telling her, just let it go. Just let it go. And she does need to. Obviously, he moved on really fast. Did he mean the proposal when he said it? Has he been sleeping with this girl all along? Because that happens. McDiver says, from what I can gather, he proposed to you and you said no. You both separated, but left it open ended. And then you text him that you're on your way over to his house to drop some stuff off, and he's got another woman there. I think he was really hurt by your rejection after he proposed, but didn't say how badly he was. I'm not saying you did anything wrong. She didn't do anything wrong. I think you two are on different paths. He knew you were coming over. He knew the other woman wasn't leaving anytime soon. He wanted you to be as hurt as he is. Hurt people hurt people. Take time for yourself, improve yourself, and find out what you want from life. In 5 years, this will just be a memory, and your life will be completely different. That's true. I think he was probably, I mean, how did he do that so fast without actually already knowing this girl? Unless she's a, you know what? The earthly delight says, sorry, baby, guess he ain't the one. You rejected his proposal, which you were within your rights to do, obviously, but he's also allowed to deal with that however he wants. Yes, but he doesn't need to rub it into her face like that. Kingslayer says exactly. We don't know uh, how long he proposed, but if I was the one who got rejected, I would probably move on already because it would hurt AF. I mean, I proposed I wanted you to be my life, but it got rejected. Okay, that's weird. I don't think that's right. I think that people need to grow up. Kingfisher is not grown up. Next, we have entitled parents entitled EP at the airport demanded I give up my charging spot because her kid's iPad was more important than whatever I'm doing. Go find another outlet somewhere. Bye. Off with you. This happened last week at the airport during a 3-hour layover. I got there early, found one of those charging benches with built in USB ports near my gate, sat down and plugged in my laptop and phone. Both were pretty low. I had to work to finish before my flight. About 45 minutes in, A woman with a stroller and a kid who looked maybe 6 or 7 parks herself right next to me. Fine, there are 2 other ports on the bench that were free. She plugs in and settles in normal stuff. Then she leans over and says, "Excuse me, could you actually move my things? My daughter needs both ports for her iPad and her headphone charger." I said I was using both ports and pointed to the 2 free ones right next to her. She already had one of them, the other one was literally empty. She sighs this massive sigh and goes, "Her iPad is almost dead, and she gets really upset on flights without it. I'm sure whatever you're doing can wait." I said, "No, I'm working and I got here first." Then she stared at me for a moment and said, "It's really disappointing when adults can't make small sacrifices for children. It's really disappointing when parents don't prepare for their children." Then she turned to her daughter and said loudly, "Some people just don't care about kids, honey." I put my headphones on, finished my work. My laptop charged 95%. Her kid watched something on the iPad using the 1 free port that was available the entire time. The audacity of like fully occupying a charging bench is somehow your personal family power strip. Nickerson says the temptation to say no, we don't is just too great. Sounds like she should have invested in portable chargers and some wanging common courtesy. Too long greed anyways. The answer is I care about kids, just not yours. Throwaway this user says it's the second top rated comment, and she said that oh no, I think that's a guy. He says decent parents are prepared because no one else should be responsible for their kids' things. As a parent with 2 kids, I have devices. I carry 4 extra battery packs and 2 adapters with a plethora of extension cables, but also aware that a plane seat has USB as well. Not all of them. I bet this Karen doesn't even pay the extra charge to assign their seats together. I really hate parents like these. Significant jumps is the same. I stock up on battery packs before big trips, and my children squirrel them away when we return. Appropriate ad said, "Not your kid, not your problem." Oh, no consequences, and it's entitled, "I did not think that one through," and it's from Unexpected and entitled "Bad Situation." Oh, trigger warning if you're afraid of snakes. You've been warned. I wouldn't watch this if I were you.
Looking forward to that one.
Got it.
And there
Oh,
goes
hell
the
no.
snake. Bye bye, snake. It's in your car and it's living with you now. It is living with you now, sir. Salty Rainbow says that, "Oh, hell no," is somehow funny to me. Traditional fan said that guy got what he's deserved. Yep. 100%. Second top rated comment is from Manic Madness Antics, and she says, "I'm stupid and watching on silent, even though maybe he carelessly wanted to help the snake and get it off the road, and it bit him in the leg, and that was the consequences. Nothing could have prepared me for eating it at the cameraman." Okay, Reach says, "Same. My husband stops to carry turtles off the road frequently, but no snakes have featured in his stops. The snake has a good chance of being safe in the dashboard. I hope the snake eats itself into the driver's while he's driving." Edited to add, I wanted the guy to substitute snake for squirrels in Canadian Candace squirrels in my pants song for Phineas and Ferb. Their top rated comment is from Hexagon Best, and it says, "Instant karma, the snake probably made a nest in his engine." Next is mildly infuriating, entitled, "I dropped a can of paint, of course, a full one, of course, red paint, of course, right before I wanted to go to bed." Here's the aftermath. 4 OP. That stinks. It's all over everywhere. At least the whole thing. It doesn't look like it's the whole container. but bad enough. Kansas Wine says you can go to sleep, it'll still be there when you wake up. Coffee Pillow says, honestly, though, I spilled it latex paint on the floor of our shop and just left it overnight. When it's that thick, it doesn't really adhere well and dries in one big piece. Just scrape it off the concrete in the morning. The red would probably stain the floor, though. That's true. Um, the Gipper says you could at least take the opportunity to freak out the group chat by posting a selfie lying on the floor and like spread the stare. Well, P says that would have been fun. Then again, I'd be lying in paint, which is less fun to clean. Kev says, what's black and white and red all over? OP's floor. Next is from Am I Overreacting? And it is entitled AIO. I, 20 female, feel like this guy, 22 male, just insulted me because I didn't want to go out for him. Probably. Let's find out. We got loads of tech read here. He says, dinner tomorrow, my bad. I just remembered film club takes precedence. And she answers, over an hour later. Hey, I have to let you know tomorrow. Oh, actually, I can't tomorrow. I have dinner with my family tomorrow. No big deal. Wanted something from someplace, and I figured you might also enjoy it. Link it next week. And she said, and then he says, when you ask a female to do something and she thinks you mean like a date. Sorry, I forgot to mention message back. Yeah, let me know what you guys are doing next week and I'll see if I can come. And he says, good. And then he says, maybe way off base, but I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings by showing you the friend zone. It seems to me that you kind of hate yourself, and I see no point in trying romance with someone who has a bad relationship with themselves. I hope there's some consolidation in knowing that it wasn't for lack of good looks or charming personality. She says, I have a boyfriend. This is the weirdest text ever. He, and then she continues, I don't know if you're trying to be funny or something, but I thought you were basically inviting me to your friend group, and now I'm really confused. He says, that's pretty much what I was trying to do, but when you showed up solo to the link on Tuesday and talked mostly about how depressing and stressful your life is and how you've been feeling kind of crummy about yourself lately, it made no mention of a significant other or any kind. I got the impression it might be because of a recent breakup. I mistakenly thought that you might have thought me asking you to get soup on Friday was anything more than a friendly invitation. um, then when you didn't show up to class today, I thought that my actions were the cause. Forgive me for the misunderstanding. I suppose I just be making crap up in my head sometimes. One, I definitely never said my life is depressing or crummy. Two, I definitely never spoke bad about myself. Three, I didn't feel it was necessary to say I had a boyfriend because I didn't think anyone was trying to hit on me. Apparently he was. And I thought you were inviting me to go out with you and your friends, and I didn't show up to class because I thought we didn't have class. I forgive you, but I never want to hang out again. He says, my bad. I thought I heard your parents were divorced and you moved around a lot, and so no place ever felt like home. And also that you had a stepsister who you couldn't trust with anything. And distinctly remember you saying that you dyed your head red because you weren't really feeling yourself. Also didn't sound like you had that many hobbies outside of school, clubs, YouTube shorts, and occasionally going dancing. I was running around a lot though. So I didn't really get much time to speak with you or listen to what you had to say. For someone who has been running around and wasn't listening or speaking to her, you sure know a heck of a lot about what she said. Again, I'd just be making crap up sometimes to fill in gaps in my knowledge. What an idiot. Awesome. Thumbs up. So, my parents were divorced when I was 11. My hair is blonde and now I dyed it brown, and now I'm growing it out again because I don't like it. And apparently, I don't have sufficient hobbies, according to you. All information you gathered without having a single conversation with me. I'm not really sure that how that all concludes that I have a depressing life and a low self-esteem. He says, "You come from a broken home, you have no real sense of direction for your life, and your hobbies are used to kill time instead of accomplishing a goal." That's what hobbies are for, is to kill time. If it's accomplishing a goal, it's not a hobby. It sounds depressing AF when you put it that way. From what I know about you, I'd be depressed as hell if I had to walk a mile in your shoes. And I didn't just give you the cold shoulder all night. We had to have more of a conversation. From what I know, you'd be depressed as hell if I had to walk. Oh, never mind. I already said that. You literally just made up a story about who I am. I never put it that way. Me and your friends were just having a random conversations about what we like to do and background stories. I'm impressed with your ability to completely fabricate things. Now let's stop texting. This guy's a trip, and no woman should be with him because he just makes stuff up. For context, the first two slides are him asking me to hang out after I hung out with him and his friend group, which was a lot of fun, and we talked about different things for hours. He was cooking for while the rest of us talked. I'm not the type to degrade myself or talk about feelings, so I know for sure I didn't say anything about my quality of life. My quality of life is good. I love my relationship hobbies and enjoy school. I met this guy in my chemistry class, and he says he does stand up, so I told him I would get some people together to go support his openings. Anyway, he ended up inviting me to hang out and then sent me a weird meme in cell vibes that I just tried to ignore because I like his friend group and it was the first time. Then I randomly get a text in the third slide at work, and I feel completely insulted and confused, especially when he later suggested that I have no sense of direction in life. WTF. So, yeah, am I being mean or is he literally out of his mind? No, he's literally out of his mind. You were very kind, actually. Deleted, posted that meme. OP says such alpha male. He's such an alpha male putting women in their places. As a speckled bird says, yeah, but he forgot the whole middle part where he has to learn to either be psychologically coercive or rich enough that he can leverage over a woman. He wants to skip to the fun belittling stuff without putting in the work first. Next separated comment is from Proof Republic. And they say, I forgive you and I never want to hang out again. Man, I wish I had been cool and as confident as you at 20. OP says, thanks. I'm sure you were really awesome in your own way at 20 and even better now. Proof Republic says, wait, you're awesome and you're a sweetheart too? And with a crying emoji. Soggy Fly says, the way he put everything about him, you didn't show up for class because of him. The absolutely unlearned ego. JFC, there's so much wrong with this. He's just projecting. Does he know how hobbies work? I have so many things to say. And OP says, ha, agreed. It was amusing to hear that he thought I wouldn't come to class because of him. All my days. And he basically said, I don't have any hobbies besides my hobbies. Like, what? Ceramic Toe said the comment, your hobbies are to kill time instead of reaching a goal. It was so hilarious. Like, dude, I bet all you do is play LOL and try and cry while jerking off in the shower, not to project onto me. No head hot 70 answers. That was killing me because isn't that the winging point of hobbies, just to do something you like? And Dexing says some people are very sad and think that if you are not doing something useful, you're wasting time, even if you're enjoying yourself. I can't stand them. And this guy's trying to do stand-up comedy. He'll be great at it. Because he makes things up out of whole cloth. Next is Server Life. And it is entitled I Just Served, a title of mine. I work in a higher end restaurant, so seeing famous people isn't a huge deal. Rappers come in often, random actors from the 90s, reality TV people. After a while, you treat them like every other table. Some look different versus being on TV, so many times I don't know unless a coworker tells me. Yesterday was a slow Monday. It was a double with 5 hours of sleep and took a 10-minute nap on my break and was ready and was good to go. Around 7 p.m., I get set with a two-top. New hostess hands me the chit and says he's famous. I usually ignore that. Many times I prefer not to know so I can give them great service without looking like I'm trying to do too much. I'm walking to the table, reading the preferences, and see the first name, and I think, wait, hold on. I walk up, good evening, gentlemen. And then I see it all. Record scratch. Yeah, it was him. Think A-list Marvel actor. Everyone in the world would recognize his face. Okay, then just say it. It felt very surreal. Heart rate went up, brain froze. Started talking fast, started to compensate. They probably felt awkwardness, but they were trying to be normal about it. They're probably used to it. Ordered still water and I left the table. I immediately grabbed um, two coworkers. Guys, I'm kind of geeking out right now. I need help. Why? What's up? Actor's name is at table 43 right now. They both look over, turn back Pikachu face. No wanging way. I told my captain she was shocked too, but kept it simple. It's just a person. Give good service. Treat it like a normal table. Great advice. Good job, captain. Before the minute was over, managers realized and got involved, asking if he would like us to send him a platter, etc. Again, all very surreal. They ended up ordering a lot, a few modifications that we don't usually do. I asked, I told him I'd ask chef and hopefully we can make something happen. I went to the sous chef and he goes, "We don't do that anymore. It takes too much time unless they're VIP." "Oh, what if it's superhero name? You're crapping me." He goes over, "Damn, okay, we can do that." After that, it feels just like a normal table. They were polite, made a couple of jokes, and we laughed. I don't recall though. They were about halfway. They ate about half of everything. Didn't care for a box. Every time I went to the back to the table, I had to mentally prep. They were low key in all black and a baseball cap. No other customers realized until they made their way out and thanked the chef. And then everyone's phone came out and people were taking pictures of him walking out. That's good. I like that that happened because then he wasn't disturbed during his meal. I've been serving for 15 years and I meet a lot of famous people. This one was probably my most memorable experience. Thanks for reading, guys. I just wanted to share. Edit. Hey, all, I really wish I could name drop. We signed a doc up on hire to keep desk interactions confidential. I work with over 200 other employees. Many are most likely on this subreddit. If I get reported, I lose my job. Somebody thinks it's Robert Downey Jr. Oh, Chuggles. If you ever have to serve Lou Ferrigno, tell him to go wang himself and give him another server. Lou Ferrigno, not a good guy. I've met well, I didn't meet him because he won't talk to you unless you're giving him money. Outlandish Shine says he's deaf so he won't hear you. Pounder says what? Albany says he's literally the worst. Um, Wiz K says tea please, and Albany says I watched him Hulk out on somebody at the hardware store one day. Scooty Puff Jr. says, you don't want to make him angry, though. You wouldn't like him when he's angry. Science Bitch had to wait on him in 2011, one of my very worst serving experiences. Chuckle says he asked me for hummus and tried to just order random crap that wasn't even on the menu. What is wrong with that guy? uh, Malikat Mount says, this is so disappointing. Lou Ferrigno is the reason why Hulk became my favorite Marvel superhero. Well, that's cool. I might go back and say something on that one. um, Independent Ant says, about 8 years ago, I was very busy on a Saturday night and thought I recognized one of my guests. Mind you, I was at the bar most of the week, so I thought we had just been friends for a night. Nope, it was Jeremy Renner. Oh, he's cool. I barely had seen the Marvel movies at that point, so I didn't fangirl too much. I did fangirl with Carrie Elwes came in. I would fangirl too. Princess Bride is my favorite, all-time favorite movie. I didn't have a reason to stop at his table, but those sparkling blue eyes were visible across the room. Sam and Dean from Supernatural, Jared Padalecki, and Jensen Ackles come in one night. That was when I was fangirl to distraction. Emma Mine says if Mariah Carey comes to the place, give that wanging table away ASAP. Stab yourself in the hand with a ticket spindle and get the pain over with. Wang her. Wow. Uh, Amitzi says, I fully believe you, but I still want the tea. And they answer, she's a total nightmare. She's rude, entitled to the point of refusing to cut her own meat. That falls to the staff. No, you're not touching my meat. I can cut my own meat. I'm not a child. She requires her meat be cut to be reassembled for presentation, and she doesn't tip at all, for example. Wow. Wow. That's crazy. This is going over here because I'm going to go back to that one and leave a comment about Lou Ferrigno. All right. Next, we have Best of Predator updates. My wife got accepted to medical school 5 hours away, and our parents want us to leave our toddler behind with them. Absolutely not. um, Originally posted in r/marriage. Original posted November 7th, 2025. We, 21 female, 23 male, had our son, 3, about to be 4, young. I'm graduated and work full time. She graduates in the spring. My wife Mika is crazy smart. Yeah, I know, not smart enough to not get pregnant. Anybody can get pregnant. It's not that hard. 30% chance every time you have sex during the appropriate period. Just saying. But I didn't even think she'd get into her dream medical school. We found out the other week. We live in a high cost of living area and live with my wife's dad's stepmom and her 2 half sisters. Her mom is retired and watches our son, so she doesn't have to go to daycare. So he doesn't have to go to daycare. We lived with my parents for the first 2 years until my mom got cancer and they moved to a smaller house. She's in remission as of last month. So happy for your mom. I hope that holds forever. And forever means until her natural death, not from cancer. I know they love us, but it's like our son is the son of their lives. Yeah, my grandkids are the son of my life. That's normal. Mika's parents hate one another, but will take our son places together because they adore him so much. My parents have more pictures of him in their house than me or my siblings. Of course they do. I do too. Sometimes we have to push back on them and tell them we actually would like to do things with our son instead of them always having him. Like for instance, this weekend, her stepmom told us she was going to take our son to see lights, even though we already have plans with him, and she seemed upset. It's not bad. I'm just trying to explain how much they adore him and spend time with him. But like the title says, things are changing and we will be moving next year. I need to find a job, even though things are rough out there in my field. It shouldn't be too bad. And her school will have daycare for our son. Good. But it's causing so many issues. All 5 of them sat us down this week and said that we should consider leaving our son here for the first year. Absolutely not. Nope, 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 no. No, they grow so fast at that age. Grandparents can come visit, or they can move. We obviously kind of freaked out and told them no. He's our son, he belongs with us, and extended conversation pretty quickly. Land is true, he's my little best friend. I can't imagine him not seeing him every day like some divorced dad from the 90s. Mika is the same way, but she's not the most emotional person. I know her, and it can help when she's freaking out just by the thought. They still tried reasoning with us, saying it's just for 1 year and to let us get settled, and then he can come and join us to start kindergarten. No, 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 no. Do not do this, because they won't. They'll say that, and then they'll have another fit next year. Don't. They promised to bring us to see him every weekend, but he's so young. I don't want him in the car 10 hours every week. And don't get me wrong, he loves his grands, but we are his parents and he'll miss us for sure. They can move or they can come and see him every weekend. That's fine. All of our parents have been giving us the full court press since then, though Mika's mom tried convincing her last night, and she said she's starting to think they're right. No, Mika, no. No, absolutely not. I think they're just wearing her down, but she was freaking out last night, saying that with a toddler and it being medical school and not just normal college, what if she fails or we fail to do the best for our son? He's such a great and happy little boy, and she was spiraling about him hating daycare and missing his grandparents, but I reminded her that millions of kids go to daycare and love it, and he would miss us too. She can agree. She agreed, but I can tell that she's still upset. I'm just wondering if I'm being illogical. No, you're not. Is it even fair for my son to bring him with us when it's going to be hard and take him away from his life here? I don't know. Sorry, kids are resilient. He won't. He won't hardly remember it. He's only 4, 3. He won't hardly remember it. um, Someone suggested me staying and my wife going herself, and she kind of mentioned this and immediately freaked out. We are in the U.S. Added to be clear, I don't want to live apart from her for sure. I'm not jealous or anything. I could just see me getting resentful if it's like me here doing the single dad while she's on her own. Honestly, hon, she's in medical school. You're gonna be a single dad for a while. You might as well just get used to that. And then she's resentful that I get to be with our son. Plus, I take good care of her and shouldn't need that during medical school. Relevant comments. Commenter one: move as a family. Put the little guy in daycare. Do not stay behind. Your wife will need your moral support while in med school, and her family can come visit. Commenter two: you, your wife, and your child are a unit. Move that way. All the other stuff you're talking about, it's gravy on top of that unit. Make frequent trips. Stay for extended periods of time with your family. Send the kid for summers with your family, but you are a winging unit to stay that way. We went through similar things with our kids. I did law school after the first one. She did her master's after the second one. Family was crucial in helping, but we were a unit the whole time. Update uh, November 14th, 2025, a week later. I know my life isn't that bad compared to so many right now, but it's rough. My wife and I are in our early 20s and have a 4-year-old son. Okay, he's 4. She was 21. 17 and 19 when they had this kid. That's insanity. That's insanity. They had no business having a kid that young. I mean, they seem to be doing okay, but they had no business having a kid that young. We've been living with our parents, and and they've never been on their own either. Crazy pants. But they should not leave the kid with them. I recently had a horrible fight with them. They want us to leave our son with them next year when we move for her to go to medical school, and we said no. We're living with her dad and stepmom, and they told us to leave. I'm working, and she's in school and works part-time, and honestly, we could have saved, but we've been paying things off, and having a son is expensive. First night we went to a hotel with our son. It wasn't a good situation. Her mom told her she and our son could stay with her, but not me. That's not cool. Obviously, she and our son being safe and warm is the most important thing, so I insisted she go there and stayed with my buddy. It's only been a few nights, and I've been looking for a place for the 3 of us every second. Our city is so expensive, and all I've been able to find is that available, and we can afford are far away in a dangerous area. My wife is still in school, and the safest place I can find for us is almost 45 minutes one way. I feel like such a failure of a husband, and I miss my son most of all, I miss my wife. I've been getting my son after work so she can study, but what kind of husband and father can't provide a place for us? Because you're not really a grown, you're only 21. You're only 21 years old, that's why. You're only 21 and you've had this kid since you were 19. That's why. 18. 18. No, he's 23. It's 19. Even though her mom is letting them stay there, she said she's not going to let her daughter or her grandson be homeless. Oh, but your son-in-law can be. Nice. She won't watch him while we work or go to school like she used to. We know we're not real. We know we're really lucky, and don't yell at me. But my wife had to miss class Ask for favors from friends because I work full time and I do not have the flex PTO, and basically my only option would be unpaid FMLA. My parents won't take my calls. I have my sisters ignoring me too. Man, this family sounds horrible. My brother offered for me to stay with him, but his apartment isn't a super safe area and he has 3 other roommates. My buddy, the one I'm staying with, his parents have offered for us to stay with them. They're lovely and have known us forever, but staying with people again kind of scares me. I know my wife and son are safe, but she's miserable and busy. I'd take them up. Take them up on the offer. Dude, it's not going to be like living with your parents. It's not chances are it's not going to be like living with your parents or her parents. Why are your parents not answering your phone? This is craziness. Um I feel bad that she's the main one responsible for our son right now while she feels bad. I can't see him as often as here. And not to brag, but I take good care of my wife and make sure she has lunch packed and all of her stuff before school so she can focus on her grades. And now she doesn't have that. I never thought they'd cut us off. I feel like a failure to my wife and son. This sucks. Top comments. Relevant OOP comments compiled. My long-term goal is for my wife to go to medical school and and me be an electrician. After she's done with residency and fellowship, she would be in her early 30s and we would buy a house and maybe have a few more kids. I'm the breadwinner now, but I'm still supporting her as best I can because she feels she deserves it, and our son deserves the best life. My goals are more simple than hers. Of course, now our budget is completely changed, and I'm saving every penny towards finding us a place. Beyond that, I'm just going to be happy being married to her and being a dad. I can't do that right now, so I need to get my crap together. And kudos for this girl to have a baby at 17, maybe not even out of high school yet, and still being able to go to medical school. That's amazing. That does not happen very often, and this is why that's why teenagers should not have kids. But she's doing good, and her parents should be proud of her and support her, and they're not doing that. We're paying her undergrad tuition. We have some savings, but not as much as we should have. Our parents would tell us still to do things like take our son on trips or to events and stuff like that. I know it seems stupid in retrospect. I don't have a mentor, but I have a budget and I'm working on it with all of the changes now. Commenter 1, you absolutely are not a failure. Exactly. He's not. Exalt. Your parents are manipulating and controlling, and this is your son, not theirs. Their behavior should be eye opening for you and your wife. Go and stay with your friend's family. You'll all be together, and then save every penny so you can move and find your own place. Do not go back to your parents and honestly cut them off at this point. They're waiting for you to give in and go back and let them have your son. Don't do it. Don't do it. You can do this. OOP says, I agree on cutting them off. My poor wife is flailing, and I know she's struggling solo parenting our son right now. I promise I'm helping in every way. Last night I was crying and saying maybe they're right, and it's just what's best for our son. It's not. Especially not if they're treating you this way. This is terrible. I'm not taking it personally. You should, but that hurt. She's probably only cried 3 times since I met her, so it was crazy. I just promised her the world and I failed at every step. No, you haven't. Your parents are failing you right now. That's what's happening. Commenter 2, probably going to be an unpopular opinion here, but your wife needs to take time off from med school and get it. No, she does not. No, absolutely not. If you guys are essentially homeless, med school would not be a priority. They wouldn't be homeless except for her parents who agreed to something and now they're reneging. Oh, med school should not be a priority. Med school should definitely be a priority. Your priorities are messed up, commenter too. OOP, the thing is that we're there, we have a rent. When we're there, we have a rental hooked up. We'll be able to find a job and we'll have free daycare. It's our hometown. Things suck. Commenter 3. So you just have to make it to next July. This is doable. Move in with the other family for now and keep looking for a better place. This gets her away from her toxic mom who wouldn't let her own husband live with her. As a mom and stepmom of kids your age, I'm appalled at y'all's parents, abjectly appalled. OOP says, yes, it's going to be hard for a few months, but we can do it. We have no other family, but my best friend's parents have offered for us to stay with them until we can get our own place. We may take that, but we've been hurt by people before. Commenter 4, dude, Your wife living with a woman who won't let you live with your wife and kid, you will get much more burned out staying as it is than to take the friend's offer. You can save money, move out from your friends, but your mother-in-law does not want you to be independent of her. That's it. That's it. Update 2, November 30th, 3 weeks later. Hey guys, I wanted to a final happy update. Just background. My wife to give the background. Um, we get our keys to our place tomorrow. Originally, Mika's best friend's parents were going to let us stay with them because we live in a very high cost of living area, and Mika is only working part time. But when we started clearing out their basement for us to stay, we discovered some issues: mold, termites, and base mice, basically. Ew! They don't know they have mice in their house. That's gross. And the friend's parents need to do a bunch of work. They felt bad, but after what I saw, I feel bad for them. They're nice, so I said I'd help in any way, but I don't know much about all of that. Anyway, sorry I'm rambling. We're in a hotel now just for tonight. When I went to pick up Mika and our son, her mom raged at me and accused me of ruining her daughter's life and said she wishes I'd drop dead. I got my wife and son out of there as quickly as possible, but it was pretty bad. But it's going to be okay. I found us a place that one is safe and two we can afford. It's a little further than we'd like for my work and her school, but we'll figure it out. It's small. We're going to have to share a bedroom with our son, and it's going to be really cramped, but it's just less furniture that we'll need. Trying to stay positive. But we'll be together, and that's all for that matters. I've seen them every day, but I miss my family so much it hurt. I'm happy we'll be together tonight. I can't stop snuggling them. My son likes it. Mika tolerates it. The good news is that all of this has been made her even more determined to go to medical school with our son. Good for her. Her parents had been giving her the full court press, and I know she was upset, questioning everything, but she's not anymore. I have a surprise. I can't wait to tell Mika when our fun falls asleep. We haven't been able to be together. I've spent the last few weeks helping my coworker's dad with a project for extra cash. I won't be able to give them the magical Christmas they're used to, but we can make it on our own, and our son will have gifts to open Christmas morning, and so will she, without pulling it from our moving and now living budget. I know she's had a really difficult few weeks, but I'm hoping she can forget all about that soon. We're excited for the future. I'm so glad for them. Oh, that's horrible. I'm not reading comments on this. All right, he hasn't given an update since then. I hope he gives us an update in a year. That would be nice. This is entitled "Made Me Smile." And it's best reason to train. Oh, that's nice. I did reading on this one like I did yesterday. That's okay. They can take the music out. So nice. All right, that's all I have for today. And now I cough. It's better though, isn't it? Um, I hope you all have a good weekend. I will be back on Tuesday, at least planning on it, unless something drastic happens. You never know. There's 6 kids and 2 grandkids and a husband, and I have to watch the kids on Monday by myself because my husband will be in Kalamazoo trying to finish that house. So they had a couple of things they wanted done. My nephew's gonna help too, so that'll be nice. I can get to see my my nephew. Love him. Um, that's all I got. Have a great weekend. Hope it's good weather in your area. I hope it's good weather in my area, but I'm not counting on it. Because as soon as it is, it won't be. All right, everybody. Have a lovely day. Have a lovely weekend. Take care of yourselves. Do something fun. Love you all. Bye bye. Bye, biddies. Bye. Bye.